Lucky Lefty Podcast, LL Nation, what's good? Your boys, the Onora boys are back. We missed you since Saturday, man. But we're
That's
here
right.
today. Finally, Notre Dame fans can come in off the ledge. Come on, come off the ledge. Come off the ledge. We couldn't say anything because it wasn't official until this morning, but it's been the worst kept secret in the transfer portal. Come on back off the ledge. Okay, you good now? Riley Leonard is your newest quarterback at Notre Dame as he officially commits to Notre Dame this morning. It was supposed to happen yesterday. For whatever reason, it got pushed back to today.
Because they had to announce Steve Angeli starting.
Yeah, that probably was the case. They let Sam Hartman opting out, Steve Angeli getting his first start. They probably let that take precedent. But we're brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com, that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure that you do so.
Responsibly.
You got to do it responsibly. Audio edibles each and every day, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget, GTB, your get to the bag questions we'll get to in the second half of the show. Put them in the chat. GTB with your question. We'll get to those questions in the second half of the show. Left, how was your weekend?
Good, man. Good. Just steadily getting everything together. You know how that goes. Watching this good football out here.
Yo, last night was a I looked at it and I was like, man, this might end up being the worst Monday night doubleheader ever. And it gave us two really good games.
That's right.
And everybody tweeting me about Tommy DeVito. Look, man, relax. Relax. If you want the Giants to ride out with Tommy DeVito, then go right ahead. Have it there.
They seem like Notre Dame fans when it comes to quarterbacks.
Oh, we can get to that. So let's bring in our brother from another mother. Co-host of Locked On Wolfpack, co-host of Locked On ACC, co-host of Locked On College Football Live. We're going to give him the first word on Riley Leonard to Notre Dame. And our sister, Candace Cooper, she tried to shade Notre Dame with her tweet about 10 minutes ago. And, she pretty much said Notre Dame gets all the perks of the ACC without actually being in the conference, referring to Riley Leonard. And, I hit her back with the GIF of T.I. with a little kind of approval nod, like, yeah, you're probably right, but c'est la vie. That's life. So we're bringing our guy, Ken Gibbs, to join us once again right here on the Lucky Lefty Podcast. And I had some fun with KG Left on Sunday because my Bears, who should be 2-0 against the Lions, they finally finished the game off. Like, thanks, dude. And I have to admit, fans, I tried to come with my boy and he put me in my place real fast. He put me in my place real fast, and I had to say, hey, man, I almost pulled out. Well, at least the White Sox are better than the Tigers. That's all.
Bro, you said we got Riley Leonard, y'all got Riley Green. We ain't the same. We ain't the same guy over here.
That's right. That's right. And we got Shohei and Ohtani out in LA.
Yeah, Left. He's a Dodgers fan now, so they got Shohei Ohtani on a super deferred deal. I don't know if you saw the actual details. That's the way that they pulled that off. That's crazy.
I'm gonna tell you this. They said that apparently he wanted the deal set up in that way, and that this isn't a interest-heavy situation like we're looking at with Bobby Bonilla, to where he randomly, until he like 60, he just gonna wake up one day out the year. Oh, it's time to get paid by the Mets again, baby. But I'll tell you what. In terms of this here football, in terms of this here pigskin, in terms of Riley Leonard, let me tell you something, man. This is it's amazing. Kind of like my Lions being on top of the NFC North, 2-game lead, even after that loss on Sunday. It's amazing. It's so amazing that y'all got Riley Leonard, because I sit here and I think to myself, Y'all got a really, really good quarterback, a dynamic quarterback who elevates everybody around him. And if you don't believe me, if you were to say, well, Ken, show me the game. If a Notre Dame fan would say, Kenton, show me the game that shows his impact tangibly, I would say Florida State, Duke this year. Riley Leonard was clearly hobbled. He was clearly injured. He clearly wasn't 100%. And yet, when he was in that game, not only did Duke look like a legitimate Power 5 football team, they were leading. They were beating Florida State when he was healthy. And then the minute that he went down, literally no less than 3 or 4 minutes later, it was over. It was over that quickly. So I really and truly say Riley Leonard's impact is massive. The only question for Notre Dame, absolutely.
Let him finish, Left.
Absolutely. The only question for Notre Dame is this: how comfortable are you with a first-year transfer? Because, like I've talked about a billion times in terms of quarterbacks in the transfer portal, it generally takes a year for them to reach their full potential and get fully comfortable. That's what we're looking at on average. Players take a year to get, I talked about Jaden Daniels. I talked about Burrow. I talked about Jalen Fields. I talked about many a guy. And Jalen Fields may be a slight exception because he balled out his first year. It's just his second year. He was in a different stratosphere. But the reality is, normally it takes a quarterback a year to get to where they need to go before they reach their full potential. And so that's the only question here. You know what I mean? Like that's just the idea. But other than that, y'all got a really, really good one. He was a hidden gem in Durham. I'll tell you that much. He's like, what's that place? What's the place I'm thinking of? Like Dame's Chicken and Waffles in Durham. It's a hidden gem that you.
That's a spot. That's a spot.
It's the spot. If you're in Durham, you got to go to Dame's. You got to go to Dame's. I'll tell you what. They get the buff Brahmas. Whoo, chef's kiss. But anyway, long story short, he really was a gem. And I think that if he is playing, if he's comfortable in the system, gets acclimated with everybody early, and he hits that full potential right away, he's going to be a one-year rental because he's going to go to the league and get all the things. But that one-year rental is going to be a hell of a year for the Golden Domers.
Left, take it away, bro, because I already know.
I think Riley Leonard is a pickup of, like you said, a more dynamic quarterback in the position. But at the end of the day, he's not, just like anybody in a position of expectations, it's a different environment. Not only is it a different environment, like you said, the 1 year of getting comfortable matters a ton. And if you're not a generational talent, a clear one and done type of guy, I don't see the chemistry happening as fast as it, probably will look his second year. Thankfully though, we have the ability to have the easiest schedule with the less pressure that we've had in the last 7-8 years. So he'll be able to get better as the weeks go on because our schedule allows it to. So the real judgment of Riley Leonard isn't going to come for me as serious or as expected until the playoff situation. I think that's the only environment you can really judge, especially going forward, if his impact truly meant something to Notre Dame, because at the end of the day, I don't see Riley that much better than what we have in the room that we've yet to see already. Now, I think he's just a more experienced Steve ANGELLI in a lot of cases. I think Steve is a little fat right now, but he'll take it more serious and get in a better playing shape. But I don't see how Riley Leonard changed life for Notre Dame outside of what Notre Dame already has. I think if anything, he's a good complement, like Sam was supposed to be, except he's a better athlete than Sam. I just think that from watching him, I don't see him changing life. Now, he could get better in that regular season and get to the playoffs and be competitive in those games, but it'll be interesting to see what he does with the expectation of Notre Dame and as it weighs on later in the season and as it relates to the stronger games that we're not supposed to win. I don't see a game on the schedule right now that we're supposed to lose regular season-wise. So that's a alley-oop right there. Chris Paul, Blake Griffin style Lob City, way easier slam dunk than what this year was. I think Riley this year, if we were to take him over Sam for whatever reason, I think we would have similar, maybe we'll probably be a better competition versus Clemson, but the expectations in the arena of Notre Dame is different. And I think Riley Leonard would be more comfortable suit. But then again, how are we using our quarterback? How are we going to put him in a position to win? Because clearly we haven't been successful at matching that style of quarterback we bring in the last two transfer portals.
Okay. I got to figure it out. Okay. Shaun, Malik, I understand now. I understand. I get it. I know what's happening here because I was confused when I start hearing Malik speak at first. I'm like, wait, are we talking about the same Riley Leonard? I get it. He's tempering expectations just in case things don't go as they should. Well, let me let you in on this, Notre Dame fans. Don't listen to Malik. That man lying to y'all. You don't have nothing in that quarterback room that's like it. Let me explain something to you. Let me ask you this. Shaun, I'm going to ask an impartial third party here. Shaun, do you think Audrey Estime was a good back in 2022? Do you think it was a good back?
Yes.
Guess who had more touchdowns, not including passing touchdowns in 2022? Riley Leonard or Audrey Estime?
I mean, based upon the fact that you're asking me, I would probably lean
Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard finished with 699 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns in 2022. That boy is much better than Malik. I'm with you when you're right, brother. I'm with you when you're right. You're very wrong on this one. Did you watch the Clemson game? That man won that game with his legs. Him and those receivers had no chemistry at that time, which actually, let me not say they didn't have any chemistry. His wide receivers were struggling to get open. Those boys were in straight jackets all night long. I thought that they was going to have a padded wall put up around them.
Let me say this. Malik is not tempering. When Malik says he's not impressed, Malik is actually no. But let me tell you.
I'm talking about.
Let me tell you. I'm telling you because I know what's going on. So I'm gonna put you on it, and then I'll let you respond. Notre Dame players, especially the former players, don't respect anybody that they've smacked. So they smacked Sam Hartman.
Yeah.
So they ain't had that much respect for Sam Hartman. They saw Notre Dame smack him around.
Right.
They felt like, yo, that dude struggled to pass the ball. Dude, Al Golden had him confused. We should have blew him out. We let him stay in the game until, like you said, his legs in the running game got Duke back in the game. So, yeah, Malik, some of the other players have voiced their opinions on social media like, dude, why are we going to get dudes that we've already beaten?
But you'll also see that what is it that, like, this will be the first time, just like Sam, just like Jack Cohn, well, not just like Jack Cohn, but just like Sam, where you're going to a team that guys around you are also good, if not better. When has Riley Leonard been on a team at Duke when he's not the best player? Riley Leonard's not coming to Notre Dame and being the best player at Notre Dame on the Notre Dame football team. He'll probably be in the top 10, but he wouldn't be the best player they're looking to win the game. If you're talking about a one-year transplant to change life, you're talking about bringing in the best player on your team at Notre Dame. Now, if this is another school, then yeah, you have a good running. But to have success at Notre Dame as a one-year at that quarterback position, you got to be the best player on the team. Riley Leonard's not coming and being the best player on the team. It's becoming a compliment, an additional piece that we think can get over the hump. But we're not winning a championship this year running the football behind Riley Leonard's legs. We got 5 running backs very capable of running the football. So his addition would have to come in the passing game, which we're trying to stack these receivers for, that I believe can get open. But at the end of the day, is Riley Leonard throwing the open guys over 70% completion guy? I doubt it. So, now, with the people being covered, it probably is less than that.
So let me ask you this, Malik. Because you were a quarterback that people say could move a little bit back there. You know what I mean? You could get a little loose back there, correct, Malik?
When called upon.
When called upon, okay. Now Now, my defensive coordinators, and I'll never forget, Coach Jermaine Crowell, absolute legend in the city of Detroit, in the state of Michigan, absolute legend. He said, I hate those running quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I hate those running quarterbacks. And I said, why, Coach? We in Detroit. Everybody can run. And he said, no. I don't mean those running backs they put at quarterback. I mean a true running quarterback. And I said, why is that, Coach? Because they changed the math. Malik, you were a math changer when you played. Think about how tough it is already to defend Estime and company in that backfield, right? Now imagine having to defend them in one of those big power schemes that y'all got where you got a first-round tackle and a second-round guard pulling on around. And, oh, by the way, if you bite down too heavy on that quarterback is going to pull it, and this Katie Dids at the doorstep. Oh, but wait a minute. We're in 2023 now. Let's throw a little RPO tag on that thing so he can pull it and run, or we got the backside glance route coming around. Like, the reality is when we look at who Riley Leonard is, I don't care if you beat that boy by 1,000,000. This is the ultimate team sport. Football ain't like basketball where you bring in one guy and all of a sudden your entire fortune is changing. He is a world changer for Notre Dame because he plays the most important position in football, the position that every rule is catered to, the position that if this player was healthy for Florida State, they'd be in the playoff, but he's not, so they're not.
This is also going to what you're saying. Riley Leonard's not a durable guy, number one. So if his greatest strength is running around, being a playmaker, this and that, we can't count on that for, especially how we got the playoff system now for, 15, 16 games? I doubt that he stays healthy enough. We've dealt with a guy who wasn't durable, that had the dynamic ability to run around, and we ran him into the ground in the first 3 games. So we've seen that. But also you got to think about the fact that if Riley Leonard's strength isn't throwing the football, what is he even adding to Notre Dame?
Wait, who said his strength ain't throwing the football? Who said that?
We've sat on this podcast and I've watched him play, even in clutch situations in games. He's running around. He's trying to run people over. He's not looking to add the 1 or 2 play, because you got to think Notre Dame's at a place offensively where we're talking about the 1 or 2 plays, the 3 or 4 game-like situations where like we've had this year, Sam Hartman in a lot of 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 7s that we're going to be in. Because of the way we run the ball. We'll run the ball first, second down, get 2 yards. Now it's 3rd and 8, and it's the first drive of the game. You know, we tend to do that sometimes. Riley Leonard's impact is going to have to come in the niche situations. We're not looking for a guy to just come in and be good because we have that and we're a good team, which is what we have in the QB room. We have capable, good guys. We make Steve ANGELLI look like potential. But at the end of the day, is Riley Leonard got the necessary 1 or 2 plays in him? That's what we're looking for to change life at Notre Dame, because that's what it's going to take. You look at the Heisman right now. All of those Heisman players that won the Heisman and guys that are in the championship are throwing for over 3,000 to 4,000 yards, 50-plus touchdowns. Riley Leonard don't got 50 touchdowns in him. Riley Leonard don't got over 4,000 yards passing, over 3,000 yards passing in him. Now, he can have 2,500 and close to 1,000 rushing yards, but that's not going to win us the championship. Quinn Ewers is an example. Michael Penix is an example of guys on playoff teams, because they have good teams as well. But they throw the ball in situations.
They weren't those guys before they got there. That's what I'm saying. Michael Penix
was that guy before he got hurt at Indiana now. Come on.
But let's talk about him in Indiana. He got hurt twice. He never threw for over 2,000 yards at Indiana. That's what I'm saying.
Well, he got hurt early that second year because he was on fire them first 3 or 4 games.
But you can't compare stats for stats. You can't say, oh, if Riley Leonard hasn't thrown for 4,000 yards like these guys, he's not the guy. When
those are indicators, though. Those are indicators. Look, we had a guy that is the most winningest quarterback of all time throw for under 3,000, and we didn't win no playoff games to get to a championship.
This is my point, though. If you look at every player that you just named, if we look at the Heisman finalist quarterbacks from this year, right? Michael Penix, what was the most yards he ever threw for at Indiana? Under 2,000 yards. Bo Nix, what was the most yards he ever threw for at Auburn? Was it 23 or 2,200, 2,400? When you look at Jaden Daniels and what he did at Arizona State, what was the most yards he ever threw for? almost 3,000. These guys, you cannot use, hey, the stats from their senior year and the stats from when they were in the system for 2 or 3 years with these amazing players is what we use as the indicator against Riley Leonard playing with all due respect to the Blue Devils, Duke players. No disrespect to them. You know, I like a lot of those guys. I think Jordan Moore is good. I think Waters is good.
Hold on. Riley Leonard is a Duke player. Riley Leonard is a Duke player.
That boy was a Lamborghini amongst Bobos in Durham. He was a Lamborghini amongst Bobos.
He was a Volkswagen that got recruited to a Volkswagen type of school. What do you mean? He wasn't no Lamborghini that was shopping the market and denied the top schools to go to Duke. He was a Volkswagen that got a new engine and a new paint job, and everybody thought it was a Grand Prix that it can go out there and win some races. But at the end of the day, it was a Volkswagen, and we found that out when we played him in the biggest game of his career at home with just like the Louisville situation.
If he was a Volkswagen, how did Mike Elko have the winningest season in Duke history for a first-year head coach, for a first-time ever head coach?
What's the expectation at
here?
Duke? That's a basketball school. So if anything, Mike Elko, first of all, is a good coach that came from Notre Dame. Also, he found out the winning formula, and it don't take much when you go to a lesser school to put the winning formula together.
A lesser school? Listen,
he gave Duke something they didn't have.
I'll give you that. I will 1,000% concede that Duke played in the Coastal and they milked those Coastal wins for everything it was worth. Absolutely. Not going to disagree with you there. But the idea that Riley Leonard was a Volkswagen amongst Volkswagens is insane.
He was a souped up Volkswagen.
He was a Volkswagen XL. He's trying to give him some credit.
He got
a backhanded compliment.
At worst,
he's a custom Volkswagen. He's still a Volkswagen.
At worst, that boy
got the Duke. A Lamborghini at a school like Duke would be. I couldn't even imagine because Lamborghini's gonna go to Duke.
But that is my whole point. You can't imagine a Lamborghini going to
players
Duke.
Come out of Duke. That's why he got a new engine. That new engine is competing around guys that went in with the engine. At worst,
that boy is a Hellcat SRT compared to those Volkswagens. At worst. But now, moving forward from there,
impact? Because what did Duke really win? What did Duke really win?
My brother in Christ. See, you're comparing this to, and this is what I'm saying, Malik. This is why I'm saying that you got it wrong.
Me and Sean talked about
Malik,
that. We need.
You're comparing him to what you expect from Notre Dame, and that's insane. You cannot compare what he has done in terms of wins and losses to what you would expect him to do at Notre Dame. It's not fair to him. It's not right to do so.
Why is it not? Because
he was at Duke, and it's a team sport. It's a team sport.
Wait a minute now.
Riley Leonard can't make that area tackle.
You said the quarterback position is the most important position.
It is.
You're going to recruit the best of that if you want to be the face of the program, right? You're not going to recruit somebody that's not a winner.
I agree.
So if we're going on the logic of you want to recruit somebody that's a winner, a face of the program, elevate the team, this, that, and the third. Well, if he's not winning and doing that at the school that's very capable of being won at in a conference that's winnable, that we dominate, and he's gotten dominated by us, what is he bringing to be the fit, what we're trying to bring to make the team better?
You know what?
If he's no different than Sam Hartman, if he's just Sam Hartman had a better accolade sheet than Riley Leonard. So what are we talking about here?
So you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. Riley Leonard was supposed to get out there and tackle Estimate. That's what he was supposed to do. He was supposed to get out there, bad ankle and all, and say, I got you, Aldridge. I'm lining up at the mic. It's going to be me and you on the A-gap, brother.
Football isn't make it, take it now. Football isn't make it, take it. So every time Aldridge Estimate played and scored and they got on the field and got off, Riley Leonard got on. So and what did he do in those opportunities?
Y'all have a defensive back that rightfully or wrongfully won a Nation's Best Defender award that y'all argued about. Is he or is he not the best defender? Meaning you had other defenders on that team that were on the caliber of a player who won the National Defensive Player of the Year to some. And so you're going to tell me that one quarterback should be that good to overcome that? You're right.
Wait a minute. Jake Plummer. Jake Plummer, my plumber, he overcame that with the same circumstance. The game was a one-score game.
Don't you tell that lie.
It was a one-score game. They have a great coach, just like Riley Leonard had a great coach, right?
Don't you tell that lie. Don't you tell that lie. Don't you tell that
So what's
lie.
the litmus test then? Because we had non-great quarterbacks beat Notre Dame. Riley Leonard's supposed to be a great quarterback in the same tight game situation and got hurt. Didn't win. Didn't put enough
First
points
thing
on the
first.
board.
First thing first. Jack Plummer is an insane comparison because he had one of ACC's leading rushers in Joe Hart-Jordan. He had one of the most dynamic receivers in Jamari Thrash. He had one of the best edge rushers in the league. I'm sorry, second team All-American Ashton Gelati on that defense. Let me tell you something.
24-17.
But this is my point. This is what I'm saying in saying that. You can't compare apples to apples in terms of who won and who didn't, because I guarantee I would put dollars to your donuts that if you asked Louisville fans, if you handed out a poll to Louisville fans, who would you rather have as your quarterback? The amazing, the monumentous Jack Plummer who took you to an ACC championship game, or Riley Leonard. I'm guaranteeing you, as sure as the sun rises on the east and sets on the west, those folks would be clamoring. They would be screaming, "Oh, we had Riley Leonard. We're a playoff team." Because Jack Plummer was he was a jag. With all due respect to him, he was just a guy. He wasn't the guy that's like, hey, we can win because of him. He was just a guy that's like, we'll
Riley
win with
Leonard
him.
not a jag?
How is Riley Leonard? Look at what Duke did after he went down. Before he went down, they were beating
Duke going down. Duke
being
a down team isn't something that we're not expecting. Are we expecting them to be good all the time? Never. Them being down is a usual thing.
But that's my point. Look what they were when he played. They were not a down team when Riley Leonard was in the game.
Lucky Lefty podcast, Ken Gibbs, special guest. Look, we always have to say it here. You know, somebody in the chat tried to be condescending. You said this is why they don't normally watch Lucky Lefty podcast. Then go watch podcasts that give it to you with pixie dust. If you don't want a real conversation, looking at both sides of the situation and being honest, then I'm sorry. This isn't a podcast for you. We're going to continue to spin it different and keep it funky. That's what we do. Lucky Lefty podcast. I got from Locked On ACC, Locked On Wolfpack, Locked On College Football Live.
Okay, I have a great question.
You can get that crap. Hey, before you get started, I had to get that crap out of the chat.
It's great. It's great that it's added in the chat. I have a response.
That's what our show is about.
I have a response to it.
People that can talk about the both sides of the coin.
We need to keep the comments in there because they need to answer this question.
All right, let me play this. This is how Riley Leonard introduced himself to the Notre Dame fan. Hey man, look. Notre Dame media has stepped it up. They have stepped it up this year. I had to give it to them. That was fabulous. That clearly shows you that the decision was made before he left his visit.
Oh, absolutely.
So Notre Dame fans were going crazy over the weekend. Like, oh my God, why is he committed yet? Like, relax. But
you know why it took so long? Because he really had to ask himself, does he want this? And that's the question that you got to ask. That's the question. That's the question. Because think about this. Even with a Riley Leonard, where do you expect that taking us to? Because Sam Hart, we expected a championship, we fell short. Jack Conway is a transition year, we won more games than expected. So where is the expectation for Riley Leonard that isn't already the expectation that we have for the quarterbacks in the room? Because I don't see, and this is where we come to pull the wool off your eyes, to unveil the veil that's been casted over this fan base once again. Because it's going to be all laughs and giggles when we go through this easy schedule and Riley Leonard's in the quarterback starting position and we think we found the answer. But let's really talk about it. Because what's going to be the first thing Riley Leonard's going to do when he goes to Notre Dame? Start asking Steve Angeli what to do. Asking Steve Angeli, who's the most experienced guy in the room for the last 3 years, what plays this and what this is and what that is. This isn't a Sam Hartman accoladed up 5th year, did everything you could want to do from a standpoint of a career at a previous school where Steve Angeli, who has no experience, can go cuddle up and buddy up to a guy like this. Steve Angeli's going in there like, bro, I'm the most experienced. I've proven everything I could have proven in the limited time that I've gotten. And you're bringing in a guy to do what? I'm the starter in this next game. So I go in there, do my thing, win the game. What do we need a Riley Leonard for? Because that's what I'm asking. Because he's coming in to do what? How much better is Riley Leonard than Steve Angeli? When Steve Angeli knows more about what we're doing. How much better can he be? Riley Leonard's not a first pick of the draft.
Says you.
So what are we talking about? How much better, and where's the expectation for Riley Leonard that Steve Angeli isn't more comfortable in the position of right now? Because I don't think that Riley Leonard's going to go in there and beat Steve Angeli out. How? Riley Leonard does what that Steve Angeli can't do. If we're talking about passing, I can see the Sam Hartman, Kenny Minchie comparison. That's a battle. What's the battle? Who can run the hardest?
Oh, and I'll just very simply say this, okay? You talk about what Duke is or is not as a program, okay? And we talk about, who Duke has been over the years, and I get that. Shout out to them boys for getting Manny Diaz as their head coach. There's nothing for Duke to hang their head about in terms of this last season that happened. Or hell, even the last couple seasons that happened. Excuse my French. I know my grandma gonna be listening. I know y'all cuss over here, but I'm just saying. With that being said, I just want to take you through something for just a second here, okay? In terms of talking about, well, hey, it really wasn't nothing too impactful done by this team. Or it really wasn't nothing. He didn't win nothing so special. He didn't do nothing so good at Duke, and he wasn't a Lambo amongst them. He was just another car amongst that team. Historically speaking, Duke has been bad, but let's go recent because I don't want to go back in history. We don't want to talk about when the helmets were soft. If we specifically look at what Cutcliffe did with a Daniel Jones, who was a first-round pick and ended up starting in the NFL, he never had as much success as Elko did in his time with Riley Leonard. That's just the facts. That's just a fact. And that was when Coastal Chaos started in the ACC, when they had nothing but mid-water over there, and the fourth or fifth best team in the Atlantic would have won the Coastal. So here's my only thing about what you're saying. I don't even disagree with you that Angeli knows the system better and he's been there longer, and it could potentially be a worse swap in terms of just the year or just the offseason in terms of potential messing up team chemistry or whatever in terms of Angeli not being the guy. I'll give you that and I'll grant you that. But the reality is, if we're talking about what is the most likely situation, because I believe that Riley Leonard has a COVID year, so he could get another year after this year if he so chose to, I believe. And with that being said, if I'm looking at these two, Angeli and Leonard, and saying, who do I believe has the better ceiling? Who do I believe gives this team the best shot? It's not just about this year, brother. You got to look ahead at this thing and say, okay, if I'm planning for a team. So, for example, I use NC State as an example. Even if we're not talking about the future, even if we're just talking about next year, there were 4 different quarterbacks that NC State had to play with in 2022. 4 different ones. To deny a quarterback and not bring somebody in and say, hey, this guy showed that he was a special talent at Duke because you beat them, you would seem crazy. You would seem crazy for that. NC State beat UVA. Brennan Armstrong bringing him over was still a good idea for NC State. It objectively was. If your metric is you lost to Notre Dame, therefore you're not the quality of player we want, congratulations. Notre Dame may never get another transfer that's worth something again. If that was the case, Florida State wouldn't have went and got Fentrell Cypress. If that was the case, I know Albany couldn't have beat Florida State, so Jared Verse would have been a watch. If that's the case, Louisville to Florida State, Jordan Travis wouldn't have been there. Michigan State, Keon Coleman. You cannot look at the team and say, hey, your team is not good, therefore you are also mid. That man, whether you believe he was a souped-up Volvo, Hellcat, foreign, the Porsche, the Beamer, whatever you want to give them, you cannot look at the team and say the team did not have the success that we are used to. Therefore, you are not good, especially when he had unprecedented success for his school that he was at.
So Mike Elko, first of all, did a great job with Duke's defense that doesn't get enough credit. So if we can talk about that, that was a huge impact in the difference of what when Daniel Jones was there and David Cutcliffe didn't have. They didn't have a defense. What's Notre Dame's thing that keeps them in the game is offensive line and defense. So Duke never had a defense that great since Duke's whole history of being a losing team. So that's what the difference was. Then you add a quarterback that is halfway decent talented that won't lose you the game necessarily, but Riley Leonard's lost him some games, but won't lose you the games necessarily, then that works. But the difference is I'm not speaking on Riley Leonard and his impact at Duke. I'm speaking on him as an individual talent, adding himself to a talented team already. He was the best player at Duke, and he made Duke better. But this isn't Duke. Notre Dame isn't in the same situation or sentence with a Duke success season to season, even traditionally as a football program. He's going into an elevated level of competition on his own team. He's not the fastest or strongest or whatever, the toughest dude on his team when he comes to Notre Dame. So
and you know what? I'll say this left. If you look at the video we just played, the introduction video, who are the two players walking into the stadium with him? Xavier Watts and Benjamin Morse. And some people might say those two dudes are better than Riley Leonard next year if Xavier Watts decides to come back.
Obviously.
So, I'm supporting your point. What you're saying is what he's stepping into. He's stepping into a situation where he's surrounded by other dogs.
Exactly.
Like he's the only dog. So now for you, Malik, it's all about the schedule's weak. He can't prove nothing. He can't prove anything to us.
He can't prove nothing that the guys in the room can't prove this year starting just like he's starting, because it comes down to what are we doing? The only way that, and how I would, if I was Marcus Freeman's right-hand man, and I'm glad we get to talk about this. If I'm Marcus Freeman's right-hand man, and I've been through this whole transfer thing twice already, the biggest thing that has been the thing that hasn't made it work functionally outside of this organization in other areas is the fact of commitment. What are you committing to? When we had Jack Cohn, we didn't commit to Jack Cohn. We did this 2-quarterback thing, and Jack Cohn was able to make it work. We brought Sam Hartman in, cleared the decks, and didn't give Sam Hartman what Sam Hartman was successful with, and through all the things that he did in his career at Wake Forest, and he was running what we did. So it was an evening, it was a zeroed out effect. He was just another guy on the roster running another offense. So what is the strategy? If I was Marcus Freeman, I would say, if we're gonna get Riley Leonard, we're running Riley Leonard's offense, period. Everything he did at Duke, we're running that. Because it wouldn't make sense to bring him in and teach him anything that we would have to teach guys that we already have in here. He's not no first pick of the draft. He's a talented quarterback that we are happy to have because it's different than what we had before, but that doesn't mean it's going to equate to more success if we're not doing what he did great. If we're not coming in here running exactly what he ran, then how is he any better than Steve in the position of getting his team ready to win big games? It's not hard for the guys in the room that we have already to go out there and play the schedule we have, especially the first 6? Those are games we supposed to win, and Vegas got us winning anyway. So if anything, they just got to do their job. So Riley Leonard's impact wouldn't be seen, in my opinion, late anyway. And that comes down to those guys would have progressed and got more comfortable through the year as well. So what would be the strategy is if Marcus Freeman was thinking about developing for the future, I'm looking at it as bring a walk-on in because you're going to need a quarterback. Bring a walk-on in. There's tons of walk-ons all over the place. But we're going to have to find a franchise guy between Steve and Kenny, because I got Deuce and CJ Carr coming in that I need to be ready to play by next year and a half. Deuce Knight need to be ready to play by 26. It's 24 right now. And I got 3 guys in front of him. And that needs to be the recruit I need to stand on, because I need to build some type of system where I'm developing quarterbacks to attract quarterbacks year in and year out. You can attract anybody because you're at Notre Dame, but you need to have a system if you want to stay a coach there. You can't just keep bringing these transfers in, because what are you telling Steve? What are you telling Kenny? And how are you going to develop to get ready for what you're bringing in? Because Riley Leonard is the apple upsetting the apple cart right now. Especially if you're not guaranteeing a championship. If you're not guaranteeing a championship, you're just guaranteeing Marcus Freeman play well in the playoffs and win first, second round. There's nothing that Steve couldn't do in that.
Kenton, I want to give this stat to kind of, Malik brought this up earlier. 2022 statistically was Riley Leonard's best season, He threw for 2,937 yards. That's pretty much. It's real close to 3,000. His completion percentage in that season was 63.5. That's his highest completion percentage. So he's not the 70% that Malik was asking for, but 63%, 2,900 yards. I mean, at Duke, that's pretty successful. But I wanted to say this and ask both you guys can jump at this because Malik, you brought up.
Wait, Sean. Before we move on, I love Notre Dame so much because y'all are not about conferences, and so I'm gonna switch conferences right now to I believe it's I don't know if they're still in the Big 12 or not, but I want to go to Press Virginia real quick because we got to talk about something you said there, Malik. We got to talk about something you said. You said, Riley Leonard ain't the guy that's gonna win you games. I mean, Riley Leonard has lost Duke games, and I would like to know where. I watched them in 2022. I watched every one of their games. In their losses, he had 8 touchdowns against 2 turnovers. That man did everything he humanly could. He only had one game amongst every game that they lost where his QBR was below average. Every other one, you're looking at 60s, 70s, 80s, which is good enough to get you player of the week in the NFL or really player of the week in the conference, depending on who you play. And you're telling me that guy lost Duke games? Where?
Yeah, he absolutely lost Duke games because we're good with all the whole stat thing, but now in college football, you throw a bubble, get 5-10 yards, your completion is going to look good. But we're talking about winners, and a perfect example of a winner is a guy like a Jaden Daniels, a great transfer portal pickup because he's a 3-year guy that played in a lot of games, won a lot of games, and was on the best player on his team where he was able to transfer that because he has the talent. If you don't have the talent, it's just not going to work at Notre Dame. Riley Leonard doesn't have the talent of the guys that are in the Heisman contention. He doesn't have the talent of the guys that are future first-round picks in a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. And those are the type of talents that Notre Dame is looking for the 1 or 2 or 3 plays, the 2 or 3 or 4 situations in each of these big games that we can't overcome. Sam was in the same situation, and in one of the situations against Duke, he ran for 16 yards in the touch. I don't know how you give that up, but those are examples of things that we're looking for, not guys that are sitting in situations where they can make a good team good. We know he can make Notre Dame good, and I'm not debating that he's not a good pickup for a team that wants to be good, but we're trying to be a team that wins in the playoffs when it matters, and that's something that even Alabama and what Tommy is able to have in the talent of Jalen Milroe, he can make it work. What Riley Leonard's legs isn't Jalen Milroe legs. So where's Riley Leonard's X factor impact that's going to change the game for Notre Dame? I can't find it.
But the problem with that logic is Riley Leonard's best year. You said Jaden Daniels, the Heisman winner. That's the guy you compare him to. Let's compare Arizona State Jaden Daniel to Riley Leonard Jaden Daniel.
No, I'm talking about talent.
Okay, let's compare the talent. But are we talking wins? So wait, are we talking wins or are we talking talent? Because you told me we were talking wins, and now we're just talking talent.
I'm saying to be a winner and to have the talent to transfer like he did, he has the talent. Like Riley Leonard doesn't have the talent. Sam Hartman had the same type of stat. Sam Hartman had better accolades. He's a 50-plus starter. He's got all type of accolades in the passing category, but we're talking about straight talent. The talent didn't transfer, and when it was called upon, it was saw out.
So let's talk about the talent. Jaden Daniels' best completion percentage ever at Arizona State was 65.4%. He was not the guy. So by your metric, Jaden Daniels would have been a bad pickup for Notre Dame. Think about your metrics for a second.
Jalen Daniels has the talent. He's a Heisman talent.
How do you evaluate the talent? Here's what I'm saying. Hold on. Scratch what he did at LSU. LSU does not exist. We're going back in the Wayback Machine like Sherman and Mr. Peabody. You're going back to 2021, where this man's best season.
Didn't I want Jaden Daniels at Notre Dame, Sean?
He did.
Hold on, so wait. You did or didn't want Jaden Daniels?
I'll give Malik this. He wanted. Look, Malik he has developed high school quarterbacks. He's been an offensive coordinator. He's worked at the Elite 11. I give Malik credit. Malik would tell me about kids in 7th and 8th grade. And he told me about Bryce Young years before Bryce Young got to Alabama. So his track record with me in conversation and quarterbacks, he said, "Go get." This is when Michael Penix and Jaden Daniels were in the portal. He said, "Go get either one of those dudes."
But
So I have to
this
give
is
him
my
credit.
question. But this is my question. This is my question.
Hold on, both
Based
those
on
complete because they have the talent.
my question is this. Based on what did you see that talent? Because now that I look at it, Jaden Daniels' best record was actually 8-5 at Arizona State. Jaden Daniels' best statistic season passing, he had 20 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, which was way more interceptions than Riley Leonard threw. And somehow you knew, oh yeah, he is more talented based on what? That's all I'm asking. I'm sorry, 17-2 was his best season.
Talent, creativity, ball placement, the game-like situations, and then obviously you factor in the team around him. Now, the team around Jaden Daniels, if you look back on where they are then and where they are now, I mean, he was playing with guys that are first-round talent that are, he had a different team. But from a eye test and true talent, Jaden Daniels had it from the beginning. It's just the fact that he had a organization difference. Now remember, he had Herm Edwards, he had all these type of coaching changes, a lot of difference. Now Riley Leonard had a stable coaching environment his entire career. So
just to be sure, we're talking about the guy who threw passes to Brandon Ayuk not playing with any NFL talent. I said Jaden Daniels had a hell of a talent. You look at the talent he played with, that where they are now and where they were then. I mean, he had everything you could have asked for. All I'm saying is this, and we can move on because we spent enough time debating whether or not Riley Leonard is the guy. But I'll say this, statistically speaking, and this is truly statistically speaking, Riley Leonard and Jaden Daniels are literally basically the exact same guy. Basically the exact same guy. So Riley Leonard has Heisman potential? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you go undefeated, if you're saying that this team has the potential to run the table, regardless of who's at quarterback, you put Riley Leonard back there. You run that table. Have the ability to win the Heisman. Hear me out. If Riley Leonard runs the table at Notre Dame, you don't think that the voters are going to say, "Wait a minute now. There's a quarterback from Notre Dame who's thrown about 35 touchdowns against 6 interceptions. He's rushed for about 400 yards, and Notre Dame is undefeated." If Riley Leonard throws for 35 touchdowns at Notre Dame, he should win it. But is he? But that's my okay. Let's take it down. Riley Leonard. Let's just do Riley Leonard's best season. He replicates his best season word for word, bar for bar. Yards, he's not winning Heisman. Perfect, watch this. Watch this. Exactly. He throws for 2,900, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, rushes for 700, and runs for another 13 touchdowns. And you're telling me that on an undefeated Notre Dame, he may not win it. He gonna be in New York. I could guarantee you that. I could guarantee you that. JJ McCarthy do all that? And what happened to him? Did JJ McCarthy do all that? JJ McCarthy had those exact same type of numbers, and he did not win the Heisman. No. Okay, so you're talking about Michigan team. All of that. You're talking about a JJ McCarthy where his offensive line has either won or been a finalist for offensive line of the year every single year. Got a great offensive line. The best two-back tandem in the nation by far. We had the best running back in the nation. And Donovan Edwards. And then on top of that, multiple, not just good years defensively, statistically record-breaking years defensively. Last year, Michigan allowed as many teams to score 20 points on them as they held teams to single digits, and I'm talking strictly in conference. I'm not talking about the Island of Misfit Toys University. So don't tell me that this is the same thing, because if Notre Dame is coming, everybody is putting up single digits, averaging 15 against them, then absolutely I would say Riley Leonard's not going to make it. Gives us a chance to win every week. So they give you a chance to win, but they're not allowing 15 points per game. They're not coming like Michigan defense coming. Let's stop playing. It's a little different. It's a little different. Well, Michigan defense will get exposed in these playoffs, so I'm not worried about what Michigan did during regular season. Jalen Milroe, who needed a Hail Mary against the mighty Auburn defense that was only allowing about 30 points per game in conference, and somehow held Alabama under that, is just going to run through Michigan like a Tomb Raider. I believe you, Malik. Yeah, I believe. It just like he was screaming, "Give me that Heisman," even though he got benched earlier in the season. Them boys from Alabama are delusional. They're not okay. I hope it's not physicality.
Did you think Matt Steuben and TCU will run through them? That defense?
No, I absolutely did.
I'm absolutely did. When it comes to like 18, 19-year-olds,
but if you
that's why I don't bet. That's why I don't bet.
If you would have told
never
me,
know.
if you would have told me who has the better chance to do it, I absolutely would have bet my money on TCU because TCU, statistically speaking, have one of the best offenses in the nation. On top of that, Sonny Dykes is their head coach. Sonny Dykes, you can say what you want about the man. One thing that I know always, Sonny Dykes come in offense. He come in big plays. He come in fine space. I'm gonna give the ball to my playmakers and let them do their thing. We have seen time and time and time again. Time and time and time again, us always say, oh, there's no way that they beat Alabama. Oh, there's no way. But that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is Riley Leonard, if he puts up what he did in his best year, then that's okay, sure, whatever. But here's what I'm saying in terms of comparing him to Jay Daniels. It's not fair to do that because again, if Jay Daniels put up the same numbers at LSU that he put up at Arizona State, he wouldn't have won jack. He became a better player. He got older. He got better.
Jaden Daniels had 2 years also. Something Riley Leonard, I don't think that we're trying to have with him being at Notre Dame, no 2-year process. So I don't believe that because you still have an answer. What's Riley Leonard's expectation? Is us getting Riley Leonard going to give us a championship, yes or no? Because if it's not, then there's no reason for Riley Leonard. Can you guarantee it? No, you can't.
I wouldn't guarantee nothing with 18 to 22. I'm just like Sean. I'm not betting on no 18 to 22-year-old.
But that's what we are taking them.
I'll tell you this because you compare Notre Dame to I'll tell you this. You compare Notre Dame to Michigan defense, so I'll give you this. And you compare Michigan to Notre Dame running game, so I'll tell you this. If they give him the type of support in terms of running game, in terms of defensively that Michigan gave McCarthy, I'll bet dollars to donuts they end up one of the top 4 or 5 seeds next year. What you want to bet on? What you want to bet on? Now that I will bet on. If they give him that, and all he has to do is show up,
we don't care about getting close.
Notre Dame can only have the highest seed they can have is 5, I believe.
Okay, I'll take it a step further. Malik, here's my solemn word to you. Because until that game against TCU, Michigan had not given up 30 points to a single team all season. I will bet to you. Hand to God. Y'all all got me on the Lucky Lefty podcast right here. Right hand to God. Y'all all see it. This is legally binding. I'm saying this right now in front of everybody. If Notre Dame does that until they get to the playoffs, if they give him that type of defensive support and they give him the type of rushing numbers that Corum and Edwards were putting up and the receiving numbers out of that backfield that they were putting up as well, I am betting you anything. You can go ahead and get that ring right now. Everybody from Notre Dame, go ahead and hit one of these. Everybody from Notre Dame, go ahead, hit one right now. Because Riley Leonard may not be the second coming of Mike Vick. He may not be Joe Montana incarnate or nothing like that. But that young man is a good enough quarterback. He's not a quarterback. He is on the verge of the best type of quarterback you can win with to like the worst type of quarterback you win because of. He's in that area of like you can try out whatever with him and he'll figure it out because that's what he has done. When he went down, Duke looked objectively. They didn't look bad offensively. They looked god awful. They looked like they didn't know what they were doing out there. They looked like they were not an FBS team at multiple points after he went down. So to say that he doesn't have the talent based on, well, you know, we whooped him. Well, he doesn't have the ball placement over Jaden Daniels. I'm going to tell you right now. If y'all give him that type of support, again, I'll bet anything on it. You can call me back. I know y'all gonna have me on the show again because I love coming on. Y'all love having me. I'll be here again, and we could put whatever on it. We could put whatever on it, Malik. If y'all coming like that next year, and you like, I still don't believe in this team to win the national championship. Let's do it. Let's put whatever on that thing. And I know we got to move on, so I'm done with the Riley Leonard conversation. But I'm just saying that's how I see it.
Lucky Lefty podcast. Hey, we have our special guest, our brother Ken Gibbs, right here. That was a great, guys. I appreciate that. That was the Riley Leonard conversation that I wanted. Very transparent, multiple sides. And I think coming off this Sam Hartman disappointment, I will say this, and I hope Riley Leonard understands, and I hope somebody on that coaching staff told you, we already got dudes in this building that can win 9-10 games, young man. The reason we brought you here is for the December games and playoff games.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to be a difference maker. We don't need you to blend in. Heck, Jack Cohn came here as a transfer and threw for over 3,000 yards and threw for 500 in the bowl game. Like, you have to exceed that. Not only statistically, but in big games and marquee matchups, making big plays.
He can't stay healthy. Come on, we already seen.
Well, see, left. Michael Penix, 3 consecutive years had season-ending injuries.
He couldn't stay healthy
until this year and couldn't stay healthy. So I'm not about to.
But Michael Penix can throw the football. If Riley can get nicked up, it's gonna be raps.
So Sean, you telling me that Michael Penix left Indiana, and you know that God bless Indiana University. It's where my wonderful fraternity was founded on the campus of Bloomington, Indiana. We love Indiana over here. You know, I'm a Big Ten guy. I'm from Big Ten country. But right. You mean to tell me that Michael Penix left a team that historically wasn't good, went to a team that was historically a little bit better, and all of a sudden looked like a lot better of a player?
Okay, let's insert the fact that coaching matters also. Michael Penix went to a coach that knows what he's doing and knows how to get the most out of him. We have a coach that has been graduated within house, running a system that isn't his, and hasn't even adjusted the system to a guy that can throw better than him. So what is the system in which Riley Leonard is coming into isn't quite defined itself already. So it's not like Riley Leonard is coming to a situation where the offense is just laid out. We know exactly what we want to do and how he can play within it. Well, he's coming into in real life, realistically, a dysfunctional offense with no identity, honestly. No number.
Well, that's not Riley's fault. Well, if that's the case, if you believe
it is Riley's fault. It is Riley's fault. You know why it's Riley's fault? The same reason why it's Marcus Freeman's fault. Because at the end of the day, he took the position. Marcus Freeman took the position knowing what he was coming into, knowing that he had guys hired in for him, and guess who's got to take the blame when it don't work? We're not about to sit here and have another episode of bringing in a quarterback that we believe is going to make us better. The offense around him isn't functional for him, and then we say he has a good season. Because that's doing the discredit and the disservice to the guys you're recruiting each year that are in that room that are looking at it like, well, what are you recruiting us for if you keep getting guys every year? Either we got guys in the room or we don't. And at this point, Steve, you know, I mean, what can't you say about Steve that he hasn't done for the team? Because clearly when he gets on the field, he's been producing, and you got to respect it enough to see what he's got. But you already bringing in guys, having guys make videos about committing to a team. He don't know nothing about the offense. We're not adjusting that offense to him, which is another key factor. Because if we're not adjusting it to him, it's an automatic 2-year process. Look at Quinn Ewers, look at Michael Penix, look at Jaden Daniels, look at Joe Burrow, look at anybody that's had success as a transfer has taken 2 years. Even the only one that didn't, I believe, no, Dylan Gabriel was there for 2 years. Hell.
Justin Fields would probably be the only one that first year was balling out. But I'll tell you this. If we're talking, and now we got to the heart of the matter, right? Because India Irie said that in one of her songs. She said, I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but my will gets weak and my heart seems to shatter. But here's the deal. We got to deal with this thing because the heart of this matter is not a problem with Riley and who he is. It's offensive dysfunction. And if you say that the coaching staff dysfunction then falls upon Riley, then, brother, I'm sorry to tell you, y'all already lost. No, because at that point, it don't matter if you put Angeli in, it don't matter if you put Mitchie in, it don't matter if you put, it don't matter who you put in, because the reality is the offensive dysfunction is still there.
No, it does because you know why, and the difference is Steve Angeli knows what's going on. It's one thing to be in a situation where you see dysfunction and you know why it's dysfunctional. Riley Leonard's coming in blind. He don't know why. He know that it hasn't been what it could be, but he don't know why. Steve knows why. Steve knows, like example, Steve went in the game and was making checks that Sam didn't do all year. And when Steve was making checks, Steve's calling things at the line. He made plays out of it. We scored points. We moved the ball effortlessly. Now, if you look at all season, we wasn't making checks like that. Hell, Marcus Freeman told you we ain't allowing Sam to make checks.
Absolutely. Listen,
but then it goes back.
I got to run, but I 1,000% see where this conversation is coming from. I 1,000% see Malik. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell you this because it's fans who agree with me, fans who agree with you. I'll tell you this. Malik is a quarterback guru. He's played the position. He's done the thing at a high level. I know a little bit of football myself, but Malik knows his stuff. So I don't want nobody saying that this is just he just talking just to talk. This is a brother that knows his ball now. This is a brother that knows his ball. So Malik, I'll give you credit, and we just gonna have to see who's right. And the worst part about this thing is we're not gonna see who's right during the regular season. The worst part about this thing is we gotta wait until
we're gonna wait.
12
Wait a
months.
whole season.
We gotta wait a whole year. But I will say this: I don't think it's fair to put this dysfunction on them, and I'll never agree to that. I'll never agree to put the dysfunction on the player. But I gotta go. I love y'all boys. Lucky Lefty
Before you go, give us 2 sentences on BEAUX Collins.
2 sentences on BEAUX Collins. All right, so that's a very big body receiver that he don't have to be open to be open. He turns 50-50 balls into 80-20 balls. That's the type of guy he is. So he's dynamic. He's gonna do the thing. And I'll tell you what, if he's wearing the Golden Dome next year, your wide receiver room just got instantly better.
BEAUX Collins right there. He also committed to Notre Dame on Sunday. Ken Gibbs, thank you. Absolutely. Follow him. Locked on ACC, locked on College Football Live, locked on Wolfpack. All right, left. When we come back, we dive into what Riley Leonard could bring to this Notre Dame offense. And oh boy, for everybody that wants to jump on Jared Parker and wants to say, oh, Notre Dame needs to modernize their offense. Oh, we got something for you. Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know. We spin it different. Welcome back, Lucky Lefty Podcast. The ONORA boys are in the building. Shaun Davis, your boy Malik ZAIRE. Of course, we're on CFB Nation presented by Twisted Tea. Hey, I missed that. We did that special segment where I got Ken Gibbs, who knows more than anybody about Riley Leonard and BEAUX Collins. So you know what time it is left. What's smoking?
Take that spot.
What's smoking? Brought to you by Fashion Geek, AlonzoJackson.com. We run the city. What's smoking is Riley Leonard is the newest commit in the 24 transfer portal class for Notre Dame. More than likely, he will be your starting quarterback. Sam Hartman stepped out of the spotlight as a Notre Dame quarterback, opting out of the Sun Bowl, meaning that Steve ANGELLI will be the starter for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish on December 29th down in El Paso, Texas, against Oregon State. So that's what's smoking right now. And let's talk about the Notre Dame offense moving forward in the Sun Bowl and even into the spring and next season under the leadership of Riley Leonard. Left, you talked about Jared Parker and the changes that need to be made to maximize Riley Leonard at the quarterback position. Expound upon that and let Notre Dame fans know what they should see if Notre Dame is truly handling the situation correctly.
I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to the comfortability and identity and what you're trying to do. I don't think we have an identity offensively, especially making the moves, replacing key pieces in the transfer portal, because what is it showing? What are you trying to show by bringing in Riley Leonard and all these receivers? Because last year was the in my opinion, the year to show that bringing in a transfer to add on to what you want to add into the offense is the passing game. So you're bringing in a guy who's less of a passer, but also bringing in more receivers for production. What are you trying to do? Because I believe the identity still should be running the football and heavy play action. But Riley Leonard hasn't been, that's not his style of game. That's not the way he's been successful at Duke. So either you overhauling what you've done in previous years and scrapping it and just doing straight Duke offense for Riley Leonard, because that's the best way to get him comfortable to help the team to get better around him. That's how you have to operate. If you're going to bring in a guy for that position, if you bring in a CEO for a company, 10 times out of 10, he's going to do things his way. He's not going to go in there as a CEO and do things how they've been done by the last CEO. It just doesn't work like that. So if we're going to go in there and put Riley at an important spot for the offense, to operate, you're going to have to do what he does and what's successful with that you're recruiting for. You can't go in there and ask him to do something totally different and be like, you got 1 year to do it and you better do it perfect, and you can't just win 9 games, you got to win every game. It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. So the thing that I would advise would be go in there and watch as much Duke film and take as much as that and implement it for a 1 year process, because at the end of the day, you're not building confidence in the quarterback room. The quarterback room is like a punch drunk fighter right now, because at the end of the day, you keep giving them knockout blows in the back of the head. You gassing him up, you training him up, and then you hit him with something illegal. You hit him with a move he ain't seen before. So what are you training the dudes in the room for if every year you're trying to inspire or spark an offense to be better, but you get better from within? And they have very capable guys, especially if it comes to looking at the season, what we have coming up. That's the best. This is the best year for Marcus Freeman to have a free pass of development, having the free excuse of we have a young quarterback developing around a team that we feel like is going to be great coming up. But right now, you putting the expectation on Riley Leonard to win a championship. So what's going to be your excuse you don't win a championship? Can't say that you got to go back to the transfer portal. You got to say, we putting all our chips in right now. That's all you can say. Especially when you're getting quarterbacks and receivers and all, you making it appear as if this is we winning it or we not winning it this year. And I think for Marcus Freeman, that's a terrible place to put yourself as a coach that wants to be there for a while, because you're not showing process. And what I mean by process is you're not showing guys that you've recruited from day one or brought in or brought along since you've gotten there, and they're in year 3 playing under you and having more success and building on year after year. Right now, you're just doing, I'm trying to win all this year, nothing. I'm trying to win all this year, nothing. And it's soured the whole love process of our relationship, because I don't see you making the small increments. I see you making drastic, big changes that are overwhelming, and it's bust the last 2 years, so it's deflated our confidence in a sense, because you're doing the same thing year after year. It would be great to see Marcus Freeman dive into who he's brought in that quarterback room, run through the year, get as far as you can, and be like, next year we got something totally different, and it's going to be a lot better. If we don't win the championship after this year, what is Marcus Freeman going to say? I think that's setting himself up unnecessarily for unnecessary criticism, because you're telling the fan base that what you have now you can't win with. Well, hell, it's been 2 years you've been recruiting and developing, and you have nothing to speak for it. I mean, think about the overhauling changes you're making. 3rd quarterback in 3 years. Nobody knows who the backup is, because Steve gonna leave if we don't win this game. Steve leaving. Hell, Steve leaving even if we win, because what is he's like, I win the game and I'm still a backup. I lose the game, I'm definitely leaving. So this is either a setup game for Steve or it's a setup game for Steve. Because what are you going to do? You're going to go in there with the receivers we have right now and try to go 100%? You're going to try to win the game? Or you going to try to transition, try to expose Steve? Oh, he's not the guy that can get us through. You see why we bringing Riley Leonard in? We giving them BS plays. Because I've seen it. It's happened to me.
Yeah.
Give them a bunch of BS plays. You can't really do much. You're trying to be super basic because you got the excuse. Nobody's here. Everybody's young. Blah, 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 blah. No Chris Tyree. No, no Aldrick. What are we going to do? Sam's young. So what's the strategy of going in? Because if you're not going to go in there, because Steve Angeli's going to fill it the first drive. You go in there and just run some BS. You ain't calling no plays to really get him going. You're not giving him nothing to work with. You being too obvious. So it's really what is the future? If I'm Marcus Freeman, you got to think 2-3 years ahead. You can't be thinking year to year. Period. Like you showing your rookiness, coaching on a year to year basis. You don't seem like a coach that's trying to be there for some time. One thing Brian Kelly did was make it seem like he's gonna be there for a while. It's never, even even through the criticisms and all the things he went through, you never felt like it was gonna end abruptly. You always knew that Brian Kelly had something going on in the background. He was gonna make it right. So it'll just be interesting to see how we make this work, because at the end of the day, Riley Leonard knows nothing. So no matter how good his talent is, no matter how excited we are about what he can bring, he doesn't know anything about the offense. He's going to have to rely on Steve Angeli if he doesn't leave at some point. And if you're relying on Steve Angeli because you trying to get up to speed, there's no way you can tell me you're going to roll out through the first 5 games and look like a playoff team. Not that you have to, but it's a good sign if you're playing well out the gate that you can last a little bit longer towards the end.
Lucky Lefty podcast. Last week I talked about, I don't care who you are, what scheme you run offensively or defensively, your program is successful because of your ability to evaluate, recruit, coach, and develop. As every elite program. Elite programs are elite in those areas. That's football, period. I'm going to have a serious problem if we come on a year from now left, and once again the evaluation of that Notre Dame quarterback room via the transfer portal has failed, because either there's a problem in the evaluation or there's a problem with the coaching. That's going to end up being the truth. All right. There was misevaluation when it comes to Sam Hartman, in my opinion, and there was improper coaching when it comes to Sam Hartman.
This is a panic move, in my opinion, to pick up a Sam Hartman. I mean, to pick up a Riley Leonard. Panic because you want to appear as if you're making changes that's going to make a difference. But at the end of the day, it's not a strong move like I said, as a guy that wants to be there for a while, because at the end of the day, you're not building the confidence you need in the guys that you're bringing in. And that's just what it is. You're already destroying the quarterback's confidence of guys that are coming in, that are trying to develop under what you've been preaching to them day in and day out. And now you continue it. What are you trying to tell guys, And I think this is something that Deuce Knight has to look at, because if you're so ready to bring in another guy and not develop guys that are in the room, what is Deuce sitting there thinking?
So offensively, as an offensive coordinator and offensive mind yourself, how do you make Riley Leonard comfortable?
Well, it's all about, because at the end of the day, there is no more such thing as competing at that position. And that needs to be known as well. There is no more quarterback competition in this transfer portal game at quarterback any longer. You bring a guy in, he's playing, period. Because guess what? It took $2 million to get him. So if I'm Steve, this is no hope for the better. You paid the dude $2 million to be here, and I've been here the whole time. So because of that, it has to be an honest process of, look, Riley Leonard, we're calling everything you did good because we need you to be at 100% and get this team ready to go. Period. You don't have time to get good because you got a year. Hell, the way we doing it, it's like a year-to-year basis for this staff. And it's not building development to me. You don't build development by 3 years of transfers at the quarterback position. Not transfers at positions you need to fill, but at the quarterback position, that's not building and developing. It just doesn't work like that.
So, is there a perfect marriage between what Marcus Freeman wants to do, Jared Parker wants to do, and what Riley Leonard can do from an offensive standpoint? Like continuing to run the ball, be a run first offense, use your tight ends, big plays to your wide receivers. You now have productive wide receivers on the outside that have done it, and Bo Collins and Chris Mitchell, and they're going to add a third wide receiver as well. So, when knowing that, how do you project kind of the marriage of all three of those things? And then the Notre Dame offense continuing to put up close to 40 points a game as they did this year.
I think it would be great to see if we can identify an X factor this season. Like we said, like this is a 10-win team with or without Riley Leonard.
Mm.
So, we're not going to get to truly see the true critiques of the team until the playoffs. I think Riley Leonard's going to play great. And that was never the question. The question is when it matters. Marcus Freeman has built the team well enough to where, we can win with who we got. So that's why it's so important on what is Riley's specific role.
Mm. That's interesting, Left, because I think moving forward, one of the things we can look for is that Riley Leonard, we know, like, dude, in clutch situations, players go to their pet moves, right? No matter what sport it is. I think one of your concerns is in big games, we need to impact and go at defenses and be aggressive in the passing game.
Yeah, we're just
And what we've seen is that Riley Leonard will lean on his legs in big moments rather than the passing game. And that is
and it's not that Riley Leonard can't throw or nothing. Can Riley Leonard make the throws when we need them? Because and add that to expectations, which is the difference. Sam Hartman was on the biggest stage of his life, Ohio State game. And when throws needed to be made, he just didn't make them. In a good, clean environment with no pressure, no expectations, that's how he got 12,000 yards. It's easy throw. Riley Leonard, money on the line. Is he going to make that throw needed to win? And I haven't seen him do that. I've seen him get numbers. I've seen him make an average team good. But can he do that on that level? And that can only be seen when you're there. I haven't seen any qualifiers to suggest that he can. But that's on an individual basis, And in those situations, like you said, we've seen him rely on his legs, but that's what got him hurt.
Left, man, it's so vitally important. Is Riley Leonard a predecessor in a sense to Deuce Knight? And what I mean by that, does this give Jared Parker an opportunity to begin to develop the offense that he eventually wants Deuce Knight to take over and take to the next level?
Unfortunately, we have to just go based off of what they say because we haven't seen what Jared Parker's vision of the offense is. At least I don't believe so based on the moves we made in the transfer portal. Because based on those moves, it seemed like that wasn't it. Those guys wasn't the right fit. So I don't know what we want to do. I know that what we need to do to be more successful, which is throw the football, but you're not bringing in a pass first guy either. And you still got a run heavy style of offense or the way you've been calling it. So is he coming in to just fill a role, which is fine. But at the same time, it's like, what's his expectation? If we're not going in there with these transfers and saying we're looking to win the championship next year, what is the point of bringing the guys in?
Yeah.
To start. You see what I'm saying? To start. If I'm Marcus Freeman, truthfully, I'm telling you, if I'm Marcus Freeman, I'm getting me a really good walk-on to service the team because you need another quarterback. So what you have to do is then So what you have to do is then develop and put the pressure on the guys you have in the room, because I'm pushing the Deuce Knight. You coming in playing year one. Because I need to have a year one guy that has the talent that I can lean on and develop through the years to get me my first round draft pick. That just what needs to happen if you're Marcus Freeman to get closer to a championship type of system. That just what has to happen. You have to have a quarterback that, guess who Kelly's is? Jaden Daniels. All the quarterbacks Kelly done had, he can rely that he got a Heisman quarterback in Jaden Daniels that he developed. He can take credit for that because he has the talent. But for Riley Leonard, if he's not coming to win the Heisman, coming to win a championship his first year, then what are we doing other than giving him more status to get drafted? So it just goes back to, this is, what is Marcus Freeman's vision of the program? Because right now, the development doesn't look there. If I'm trying to recruit the Deuce Nike, I'm telling him, you looking to play year one. I'm going to be honest about it. Because I need to retain his recruitment through the next year. And I don't know if I can rely on saying just watch how we go through year to year with the seasons, because we're bringing in new guys every year. So it's like, Deuce Knight, I'm doing it because I'm doing it for you. That's what I'm pushing to him. I don't have a guy until I get to you, so I got to get year guys. Or I'm bringing in the walk-on because I need to see what I have to see if they can compete. That's how you got to do it, to set the standard right, because I don't see a vision past keep getting transfer quarterbacks. So I do think us just being who we are, we're going to be fine. We're going to win games. Riley's going to look good, all of that. But Marcus Freeman, your vision for the program's got to be somewhere, and the quarterback has to be in the top priority of that.
Lucky Lefty podcast. So, Left, I want to bring up something because a lot of people in the chat today, they bring up Jared Parker in this situation. Some feel like the Riley Leonard move puts him under the microscope even more, or, puts the focus on him even more under the microscope, shall I say. And I read an article and I sent you some clips. And I found this amazing. Because most Notre Dame fans will complain every time they see Notre Dame run out in 12 personnel. Oh, God, Notre Dame's in 12 personnel again. We need to modernize our offense. We need to do more. We need to do this. We need to do that. Well, Washington is viewed as the best offense in the nation by a lot of people. Do you realize that Washington was in 12 personnel only 4% less of the time than Notre Dame? That's it.
That's very interesting.
Only 4% less of the time all year. Washington uses 12 personnel. Very prevalent. It's very prevalent in their offense. See, this is why, because the scheme of the triangle, right? Phil Jackson's famous scheme that wasn't even his, it was actually created by his assistant coach, was a triangle offense. Have you seen anybody else be successful with a triangle offense without Scotty, Mike, Shaq, and Kobe?
Not on a dominant level.
See, we keep talking all the Notre Dame needs to modernize their scheme. How modernized is Georgia's offense? How modernized is Michigan's offense? I just gave you the stat that 12 personnel is used heavily by Caleb DeBoer, who's viewed as one of the greatest offensive minds. So scheme ain't a problem. You can win with any scheme if you got players. Period. You go get some dogs, especially at the quarterback, wide receiver position. Oh, by the way, you know what else people are missing? Guess who's the number 3 pass pro offensive line left in all of college football?
Who?
Washington. But name me one of their offensive linemen left.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. Can't do it. Then number three, that means that quarterback is protected. They don't have a Joe Alt. They don't have a Blake Fisher, which is amazing because everybody's like, oh, Blake Fisher, he's making a bad move, but you want him back at Notre Dame at right tackle, don't you? He's making a bad move, but you would love for him to be your starting left or right tackle next year, wouldn't you? So, Left, this is why I sent it to you because I found it very interesting. Here is the 3 themes of the Washington offense according to this article. Their purposes are, number 1, to create horizontal stretches on underneath defenders. Number 2, create vertical stretches on deep defenders. And number 3, master individual route technique. That's their focus offensively. Yeah.
I don't see no run the ball on there.
Boy, that Left, that's it. That's very interesting. I'm getting to that. This is from the article. Schematically, the Washington system is grounded in the air raid style. So you say air raid, you think, oh my God, this is like 4 or 5 receivers every down, throwing the ball all over the field. It's something head coach Caleb DeBoer has cultured in his previous stops at Fresno State, Indiana, Eastern Michigan, and Southern Illinois. His first hire at Washington was offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, who came with him from Fresno State. While the system has always been efficient, it has exploded thanks to the intelligence and comfortability of Penix. Wait a minute. So the system is the system, but the system has exploded because of the dude at quarterback, according to this article. Now, the final piece of the Huskies' offensive triumvirate has been the addition of wide receiver coach and pass game coordinator Jamarcus Shepard. Oh, you mean the guy that Marcus Freeman wanted as his wide receiver coach before he was vetoed by Tommy Rees? I still don't understand how Tommy Rees was allowed to have a veto, but I digress. From a top 5 defensive coordinator in college football, Washington does not even want to run the ball. They want to give the illusion that they want to run the ball and then attack you with the pass. Now, Left, that goes into what you were just saying. But let me ask you a question before I let you loose. Oregon twice, USC on the road, and Oregon State in the 4th quarter. What did Caleb DeBoer go to win the game?
Run that ball.
Even though he doesn't want to run the ball, what did he go to win those big games?
Ran that left and right.
Dylan Johnson was the dude.
Yep.
So you could talk about Marcus Freeman. He wants to run the ball all the time. People, football has not changed. All this pomp and circumstance of the passing game and all of that. Super Bowl last year, Kansas City's down 10 points. You know what they did? They came out in the 3rd quarter and gave the ball to Isaiah Pacheco and got back in the game. 2 consecutive drives. You're not winning football games without having a running game that can make an impact in big games and without having a dude at quarterback. I don't care what. This article was clear. The system has exploded because of Michael Penix. Not because of the system. It's because of Michael Penix. The players. Players make the system. The system don't make the players. You go get me some players, I'm going to be all right. I'll much rather have players and try to figure out the system than to have a system and try to get players. I just thought the article was very interesting, especially the way Caleb DeBoer lines up in 12 personnel so many times. The only difference is he knows how to attack horizontally and vertically as a play caller in 12 personnel. That's something we haven't seen from Notre Dame. And that's the next step. Can Notre Dame do that with Riley Leonard? Jared Parker, this is your second year. You get a chance to evolve as a play caller. You get an opportunity to evolve and implement the offense that you see for yourself and that you see for CJ Carr, Kenny Minchie, and Deuce Knight. It is what it is. But for everybody that wants to make it seem like Notre Dame needs to modernize their offense, dude, the 4 teams in the playoffs don't have super modernized offenses.
Especially not Michigan.
No. But what they do have is playmakers. They got playmakers. So what I do like left with this Riley Leonard move is that Notre Dame is pairing the quarterback with some veteran receivers that have been playmakers elsewhere and bring production to the room. That's a totally different situation than just getting Sam Hartman with what you have in the room and some freshmen and trying to make things happen. I think Riley Leonard steps into a far more advantageous situation than Sam Hartman did, if we're going to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of starting from scratch like a rookie year, getting guys to play around him that haven't been there either. So it's all a learning process for guys. Nobody has any bad habits technically. So, I mean, you get a rebranding of it. But what we just want to see the commitment and who the X factors are, because that's what it comes down to. You can bring all the guys in, but if you run the same stuff and not using the guys to the best of your ability, then they're just another part of the system in a negative way. But if Riley Leonard can come in and develop a fast chemistry with guys and everybody's role is understood, it could, I'm thinking
Left froze.
get into the playoff situation.
Okay, you froze a little bit left. I just wanted to make it. What was that? Reiterate that last point.
We'll just see how it progresses and getting into the playoff situation. But I think we're a 10-win team regardless of the rebrand. We just want to see the identity be clear and the X factors be the X factors. Go to those guys late. It's cool to see guys pop up every now and again, but you also need to know who you're depending on when it gets time to.
This is a great comment. We appreciate Lou Rockney. He said, hell, one of those teams running ND's old offense. LOL. And you got to see Tyler Buckner at Alabama in that offense, and you got to see Jalen Milroe in that offense. It's totally different.
Because elite talent makes the difference.
Yes. That's
elite
it.
Capabilities make the difference. That's it.
That's it.
And that's what Riley Leonard, in my opinion, what does he do that's elite? He doesn't have Milroe's legs. Not that he needs them, but it's an elite trait to have. And he doesn't have an elite arm. So what elite is going to make Jared Parker's system look better? Because Jared Parker can call plays, and we can get, like we've seen the all 22 copy guys are open. But can he make the throws necessary? Can he do something elite that we haven't had, or whatever the case may be? I just don't think that's where it comes in, and it showed for Sam. I said Sam don't have any elite traits, and when it came time to make elite plays, where all those numbers don't mean nothing, statistics don't mean nothing, QBR don't mean nothing, and he had to make those throws, he didn't make them. He had to pick up the first down on 4th and 1. He didn't do it. When we had to win an away game against a tough team, he couldn't make it happen. He was throwing pick sixes. So yeah, you can beat a Pitt 56-6. Riley Leonard's gonna have some games like that. 56-6 games. Okay, that comes with it. But when we're playing a Georgia in the playoffs and you scoring 10 points, that's fireable, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Left. I look, I understand, man. It's all about having playmakers in big games. Look, um, I'll bring this up. You know, uh, a poet mind 9,000. Bama is not ND. Reese is barely controlling the offense. It's all safe. It's not true. Alabama literally sealed the game with the same plays that Tommy Reese was using at Notre Dame in the Gator Bowl with Tyler Buck. The exact same plays. That's Nick Saban has nothing to do with that. That's Tommy Reese calling the same plays he called in Notre Dame. He just has better talent and an offensive line that lined up against Georgia and ran duo all day and ran the ball. That we run duo too much. Okay, Alabama was able to line up against Georgia and their defense and run duo successfully. So is running duo still boring?
Yeah.
Is it still boring? If Sam Hartman doesn't throw a pick six and Chris Tyree doesn't just muff a punt, Notre Dame has a lead in the fourth quarter. Playing a bad game. They didn't even play a good game. All they had to do was play a clean game, and they would have been ahead. This is, dude, football is not, it's amazing how people always people want to get up in arms about modernizing offense, throwing the ball all over the field. And every year we get to the Final Four teams, and it's teams that can run the ball and play defense. And then they get mad because Marcus Freeman wants that to be the foundation of his program. Like Marcus Freeman, Reggie Brooks was absolutely right Saturday. Marcus Freeman needs to do a better job understanding the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, just all of that.
And stop giving so much power to offensive coaches. I agree. Nick Saban is the
de facto.
He would tell, and he has told every offense, no matter who the OC is, he has told him, hey, we need to run the ball. Lane Kiffin, he's told him and screamed at him. He screamed at Steve Sarkisian. Like, it's his squad, it's his program. So when he needs to pull the reins, he pulls the reins. That's totally, Nick Saban has never called a play on offense. So stop. That's ridiculous. Nick Saban is a great coach. That means he has control of the game. And he knows what his team needs to do in the game.
Nick Saban not wondering what's going on. I'll tell you that.
No. He is a great in-game manager and prep coach for big games. But he's not telling Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, and Tommy Reese, yo, you need to make this call. This is the call you need to go to. Stop. And that's where Marcus Freeman needs to get to. See, this is the problem. Marcus Freeman knew and knows what he needs around him. Marcus Freeman knew he needed an experienced offensive coordinator. Notre Dame didn't give it to him.
Period.
He knew he needed an elite wide receiver coach. Tommy Reese vetoed it. Marcus Freeman knows what he needs. Is Notre Dame going to give it to him? That's the question. He's shown that he knows what he needs around him. He knew he needed an experienced offensive coordinator like Andy Ludwig. He knew that. Couldn't get it. He knew he needed Jamarcus Shepard in that wide receiver room because he knew he had young wide receiver rooms that he was looking at over the next 2 seasons. So he needed development.
And because of that, he's chasing these risks of bringing in 1 year, plans to win now, maybe to prove that he can, if he gets what he needs, he can win. But these risks, it just starting to stack up when the record isn't reflecting the outcome of what you're taking these risks. It's less of a risk to just put what you've recruited out there.
Absolutely.
Get as far as you can, especially because all of them are young, and we know this.
Yes.
You trying to bring in vets as the young guys are getting older and thinking they're going to play well. It doesn't work like that. It would be nice to see you commit to your young guys for a year, get as far as you can, and then let everybody know, okay, the year after, there's no excuse. Right now, you're giving yourself no outs.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing. It's like, damn, you putting your whole tenure on a year-to-year basis. When now is definitely, important, but with this new playoff structure, with the way you've been recruiting, and people want to see these recruits, see the effort you've been putting in recruiting, and then you jump to the portal and put out. It's like it's like you work trying to work everything. Can't work everything because now it's like the recruits are not trusting the system. Trust the process. Well, now you got two processes going. You got the win now, take the best players available every year, no matter who the quarterback is. We just gonna take whatever they put number one quarterback in the portal, because that's what it is. Because number one quarterback in the portal would, I'm gonna go to Notre Dame. That's just the easy. That's not even a recruitment. How much do you think Riley Leonard really thought about it? How much do you think Sam really thought about it? How much do you think Jack really thought about it? It was like, oh, this is a way better situation than I came from. 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10, it is a better situation for any transfer quarterback to go to Notre Dame. So if that's what we're doing, it sets a terrible message in your locker room, especially from the most important position.
Mm-hmm.
Because what are we doing? Because you keep talking about practice players got to be perfect to play, and you recruiting the number one and all of this. But that practice thing goes out the window, especially if you bring in guys that don't know anything about the system. Riley's going to make mistakes the entire spring and the entire fall because he don't know anything. He's new. So Marcus Freeman, what is your standard now? Because Steve ANGELLI, and I keep preaching about Steve because it's an important summation of what we're talking about, is that he's been with you since you've been the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you put him in there, he's done exactly and beyond expectations. You got an in-house guy, which is in my opinion, which is helping Steve's case so much more, is that you got an in-house dude. If you got a whole new office coordinator, okay, Steve, you out of there, cool.
Mm-hmm.
You got an in-house dude with a quarterback that's been in-house with you since you've been there, and you keep getting new guys who don't know the system, year after year after year. When are you going to have a foundation? Because you're not going to have unlimited years to keep testing out these super teams you're trying to construct. Because it's already the science and math already been out there. You need 2 years. So you got to trust one process or the other, which is a good thing to have experience around you, because they could probably advise you which way you're going. And I think that's what's going to help after we see this year, is because if we're not saying this is a championship team, what are we saying? How much worse is if we didn't get them? Are you expecting us to be? Because we're a playoff team without Riley Leonard right now, without a Bo Collins right now. We're a playoff team. We can with our schedule, we can get there. So what are you saying with these recruits? Is this an automatic championship team? Or is this a team that you just want to get close? Because then, what is the standard after that? If we just want to get close every year, you'll never play your recruits.
Mm-hmm.
Because quarterback competition is BS. You're not paying a dude at this point in time. Everybody says it. Takes $2 million to get a quarterback, and we keep getting the number one. So we spending some type of money. Dude's not gonna be like, bro, you just paid this dude $2 million. You think I'm gonna play it anytime soon? No. And then you got dudes in front of me that haven't played. You don't know what they like. I'm gonna go somewhere where I can play day one.
See, we appreciate Willie Porter. Malik, you tripping. We're not a playoff team without the transfer portal this year.
Have you seen our schedule? And how are we not?
This is my thing, Left. Because Willie also said, Steve Angeli ain't it. Then who was that on? Forget Riley Leonard. Let's deal with the issue. If Steve Angeli ain't it, then what's up with Gino Gaddu? If Kenny Minchie ain't gonna be it, what's up with Jared Parker?
What's up with the recruit?
Because y'all keep going to Riley Leonard. We can stay in house with this conversation.
We staying in house,
and I'm gonna keep saying it.
When is Gino Gaddu going to earn his money?
You have an evaluation problem, you have a recruiting problem, and you have a developing problem and a coaching problem. That's a problem. The program's not going anywhere. I don't care what portal quarterback you go and get, if that is at the foundation of the program.
That's
and until you fix that, forget Riley Leonard, forget Sam Hartman. We have a problem. What transpired in that wide receiver room, we told you it was a problem before the season. We told you on this podcast it was dysfunction on the offensive side of the ball. We said that. We told you, hold your horses on Sam Hartman. He ain't that dude. When everybody was going crazy, he's getting a Heisman. This, that, and the other. We were like, relax. We don't think he's that dude. And we took our hits early when everybody was like, see? And we sat back and said, yep, here comes Ohio State, Duke, and Louisville. Let's see. And what happened?
Yeah, I just don't like paying guys for no reason now.
Man, look, dude. Nobody's hating.
There's
Nobody's
no way.
hating this dude. Max Dugan wasn't a dude. J.J. McCarthy isn't a dude. He's not. How is Michigan in the playoffs? Because J.J. McCarthy isn't a dude.
That's the truth.
He's not. So how is Michigan in the playoffs? Yeah, okay, Notre Dame can't recruit like Alabama. They can't recruit like Georgia. Notre Dame can recruit like Michigan. So what's the problem? What's the problem? You know what Michigan does, Left? They evaluate. They can coach their butts off. They can develop their butts off. That means something. That means something. Because if you go look at the last 2 to 3 years, Notre Dame probably has out-recruited Michigan. So what's the difference? What's the difference?
The quarterback got 3 years.
I don't want to hear that cheat stuff. Dude, you beat teams by 40 points. That cheat stuff ain't got nothing to do with that. And y'all tried they beat the crap out of Ohio State the same way this year as they did the previous 2 years without cheating. So we can stop all that cheating. I agree they cheated. I agree they need to be punished for cheating. But I'm not about to sit here and just make it seem like the only reason they were winning football games is because they were taking Polaroid signs. That doesn't change the fact that they've developed players. Doesn't change the fact that their offensive line can line up and dominate. That ain't got nothing to do with film. That's development and coaching. Y'all have to learn how to separate the two. Period. It's not always system. No, dude. You have to be able to evaluate, recruit, and develop and coach, man. And with the dysfunction, the wide receivers were not being properly coached this year. They weren't. Wide receivers at Notre Dame haven't been properly coached in almost 4 years, maybe longer. So I don't know if Notre Dame has talent at wide receiver. I haven't seen properly coached young men. I haven't seen developed wide receivers.
Or I haven't seen a confident wide receiver.
No.
That probably is the biggest. When's the last confident wide receiver we had? Chase didn't get confident till he went to the league. So who's been the last confident receiver outside of Will? Confident, like put me in the game. A Michael Floyd mentality.
I just really believe moving forward, this is an opportunity with Riley Leonard. I'm not like the biggest fan of the move, but I'm not like the biggest detractor of the move either. This isn't a doom or gloom move. If you were going to go to the portal, it's 2 or 3 guys that were even worth the chance. He's
But
one of
it's
those
but
2 or 3 guys.
it's what are we expecting? We know we can get any 2 or 3 guys in the portal because to any portal guy, Notre Dame is the next step. Period. That's without even. Come on, how much do you think we had to recruit Riley Leonard? He went to Duke, already academic, all of that. It was just a basketball school. He
Mm-hmm.
get the same type of academics and all that lifestyle, similar communities, except this is a football school.
Mm-hmm.
With bigger expectations, more on the line, bigger stage, all of that. He just seen Notre Dame play at night 5 games in a row because his game was done at noon because they his Duke. So it's like, what are we talking about here? Obviously, we can get anybody in that situation, but I'm not a detractor of it. I'm just saying, what's the future and the expectation? If this is a championship move and you guaranteeing us being in that final game because of this, then okay, it makes sense. Anything else other than that, I don't see the point because we can do just as good with who we paid to develop quarterbacks for the last 2 years to have a guy ready to get us as far as he can in this playoff system because everybody knows that those guys are young
Mm-hmm.
and haven't played. Great way to transition and see if you actually have a offensive coaching staff because they got to play guys that was shelved last year.
Left, does
Period.
it come across? Does it come across as we see elite? I'm not there every day. You're not there every day. We don't know how they view or evaluate. Once again, this goes back to evaluation. Not only with players that are not on your team, but with the players that are on your roster. You have to evaluate them as well throughout the year. See, I'm like, dude, if Steve Angeli or Kenny Minchie is the starting quarterback in 24, now the focus is really going to be on Gino Guidugli and Jared Parker
And Jared Parker, period.
because you have a young start, inexperienced starter. But now you go get an experienced starter. Now it's like, okay,
He got to ride.
spotlight.
He got to ride us there.
Yeah. The spotlight's not really on me. I got a veteran now, so I don't have to coach as much. You know what I'm saying? Look, I love to left. I don't know about you, man. Like, my job and what I do in ministry, like I love talking to kids and like I love talking to kids from uh well-to-do homes, well-to-do situations, right? They have the best of the best. They go to really good schools. But I get excited when I get a chance to talk to kids from single-parent homes, from disenfranchised situations. I get more excited about talking to those young people, bro. Because now this is even more of a challenge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I feel like that gives me the opportunity to bring the best out of me and what I'm doing. So I don't understand how a coaching staff wouldn't jump at the opportunity in
Put the
2024 with that
product on the
schedule
field that they've developed.
and coach. And I'm about to
Coach.
show you I can coach. I'm about to
You
show
keep
you I'm a good OC.
they keep phoning in a friend and calling for a lifeline, and
It's like just because the transfer portal is there, don't mean we have to take it. And I think that's just the other uh, perspective of us evolving with college football is that, oh, we have to run it up in the transfer portal. We're in the top tier percent of teams that consistently are competitive for a championship to where we don't need transfers just because they're there. Alabama doesn't take transfers just because they're transfers.
Hmm.
They needed receivers, they got receivers. They needed an OC, they got an OC. You see what I'm saying? They getting positions filled. We're taking guys as if we don't have the position at all, especially in key positions. So, like you said, it's just, for me, it's hard to understand what we're trying to do because, like you said, if you're a good coaching staff, you're putting guys that are in the incubator you've been fostering and taking care of and haven't put out there just yet. You're excited to say, okay, this is me right here. I put my stamp on this one. He's ready. You can't even build that relationship with a guy that is shipped in and ready to go right now that is forced to play. You don't have no relationship. You don't know how to really coach him for real. Unnecessarily. We're not in no hot spot situation, hot seat where we're demanded to win today. The format changed, which allows us to put out on the field a product that can develop in season. Because we can stay afloat in all these games. Come on now, we're gonna have a top 10 defense next year. Offensive line is gonna be growing and getting better. This is a great opportunity. We got a running game, great opportunity for a quarterback going there and show what he's been working on for 2 years in the system.
Mhm.
Whether it's Kenny Minchie or Steve. Now you're trying to overhaul everything, bring in everybody new and say all of y'all are day one starters and we paid all of y'all too, because I know that plays into it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna run what? Something that everybody you trying to replace knows and they don't? These guys are transfers. These guys aren't first round picks necessarily. So they need development and they need a lot to prove themselves. They trying to learn and all of this, and I think it's counterproductive to what Marcus Freeman is trying to build, because how do you build a program when you're not living in the house you're building? You living in hotels. So when are you ever gonna go home and realize you got a nice microwave at the crib? Like, you don't need to go to your neighbors. You got a blender. You borrowing blenders when you got one. So
You know how it is, Left. You know what I'm saying? You're a family man now. You know, I'm a family man, but there were days when we were single, bro, and trying to make it. You know what I'm saying? And you know that next the direct deposit was like 4 days away. All right, you living out the microwave for like the next 3 or 4 days.
that's right.
Whether it's ramen noodles or warming up hot pockets or breakfast sandwiches, whatever it is, that's fine. My problem is you keep trying to solve issues and instead of actually showing us that you can work with what you have.
Right. I
I'll
mean, it's
never,
3
I'll
years.
never know. I'll never know if you can coach.
Never know.
See, I have confidence in Al Golden next year, and I can say, yo, I think next year's defense can be better than why? Because now we get to see the linebackers that they recruit that are more talented in the defense. And
Second,
I already saw them successful with less athletic linebackers for 2 years. So now my expectation is now that they have more athletic linebackers, even though they're inexperienced, the ceiling is higher defensively. And they might actually, by the end of the season, they could struggle early, missed assignments, things of that nature. Young, inexperienced players getting used to playing more reps. But by the end of the year left, what we could be looking at, the ceiling of that defense, huh, yeah, It could be better than this year's defense.
Yeah.
Offensively,
We're taking a bunch of guys. The only guy we're taking with impact is Chris Mitchell, but he's coming from the American Conference. And it's interesting to see that even Bo Collins in the game at Notre Dame wasn't the reason why Clemson won. So you got to look at that too. Bo Collins wasn't the reason why Clemson won that game. Hell, I don't even think he got over 5 catches. But we're bringing him in to do what? So it's
we don't exactly like their quarterback, but I'm just
yeah, but even with listen, even with a great, if you were a great receiver,
yeah,
Justin Jefferson. As much as we talk about Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson almost had 2,000 yards with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
And we don't put the greatness of Justin Jefferson up there with the greatness of Kirk, or Kirk Cousins up there with the greatness of Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. But that's who was throwing in the football. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you're that good of a receiver, you're going to make K look a little bit better. And he was getting locked up by Ben Morrison. That's all I remember. So now you put him in a situation where what film is he going to watch to get adjusted to this year? We didn't have a receiver over 50 catches. So we got a whole new receiver coach.
Stick with that, Left, because you took a lot of heat from Notre Dame fans this weekend on social media because you put up a post saying that you felt like Bo Collins is pretty much a swap with Tobias Merriweather.
I mean, pretty much.
I understood what you were trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not looking at his numbers at Clemson because we're not Clemson.
I mean, I took it as, and then you can further explain. I took it as you were saying Tobias didn't reach his potential at Notre Dame, and Bo Collins hasn't reached his potential at Clemson.
Same thing, exactly. And they the same type of attributes from the size and all of that, but we didn't. It's not like a Jordan Addison transfer where a Biletnikoff winner is in the portal and we snag something like that. See, now that's a transfer. You know, that or AJ Mitchell from Georgia. That's a Jermaine Burton that won the championship and then jumps in the portal. And that's a transfer. We're getting guys on teams except for Chris Mitchell. But his level of competition is rising dramatically. Because the difference between the ACs, the American Conference, and these other conferences is the secondary. But from a front seven, it's pretty much the same. Because the MAC conference front seven is pretty damn good. It's the back end. That's what makes the difference between the American Conference and the SEC is the back end. The American Conference and the Big Ten is the back end. And maybe bigger, ends. So Chris Mitchell's level of competition week in and week out in the secondary is going to be his biggest challenge, which is obviously the challenge. But we're taking guys either that are rising to a new level of competition as opposed to making a horizontal move. Bo Collins is just, as an individual standalone, he only has 91 catches in 3-4 years? And we can't get a guy, like, at least it'd be different if we, like a Chris Mitchell numbers where he's got 77 in one season. So it'll be important for us to find that balance or find a way it can be impactful in that area that we need to.
I see it's the thing, like, I see people in the chat, like, dude, this is what I try to tell people, bro. Everybody has an opinion, but the people that try to make their opinion out to be like the ironclad truth, those are the fools. You can have a thought, you can have an opinion, you can have a take. We can disagree, Riley Leonard is not a guarantee. Bo Collins is not a guarantee. They're just not. They're not. Would AB Mitchell be more of a guarantee? Yes. I
Yeah,
think
he got a champ. He had a championship, and he
Coach
caught.
Vic said that Jordan Addison regressed at SC. How? How? Because he wasn't the only receiver. Kenny Pickett, you see the type of quarterback he is. He locks in on his receiver. Dude, he locked in on Jordan Addison, and Jordan Addison put in work. So just because he went to USC with Mike Williams and other wide receivers that can actually make plays and his stats went down, which anybody with common sense could have told you he's not about to put up the same stats he put at Pitt.
But if you watch the game, he was making plays though.
Yeah, he was flipping. Go watch him flip Benjamin Morrison multiple times in that matchup last year. If you think Benjamin Morrison is a dude, go watch the route running of Jordan Addison and how he made Benjamin Morrison look a couple of times. It's like, dude, he regressed to the point that he became a first-round pick, and when Justin Jefferson went down, he started putting on a show.
Yeah, he's a first-round.
It's like, dude, look, and then talking about, dude, that has nothing to do with the conversation. The fact that Notre Dame can't get those type of guys because of restrictions. That has nothing to do with the conversation. That does not erase Malik's point, which is Bo Collins ain't them in the transfer portal.
That's it.
He's not that impact. It don't make it regardless.
Because JT and Deion Coles is gonna be like, what's different from you and me? Like we
and that's fine. And that's fine. And just because somebody says, oh, Bo Collins isn't going to have that type of impact, but this is what he can do. Bo Collins is Tobias Merriweather. He has not lived up to expectations.
But got a bunch of potential that if he's in the right place, right time, come on.
That's it. I thought Devin Butler's comments last week on Twitter about Riley Leonard were fair and worthy of a conversation. And I think what you said about Bo Collins is fair and worthy of a conversation. Most people that cover Clemson would tell you he wasn't even the best receiver on their team. It was Tyler Williams, the freshman. And that's Clemson people that will tell you that. So it's not like we went and got the number one dude off their squad. At least Riley Leonard is the best player on Duke. You got him. Chris Mitchell is the best receiver from Florida International. It's fair to say, you know what? Bo Collins might not be the best wide receiver at Clemson. So
what we hope from Bo is though is stability. He's been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
He knows the importance of game situation. Just from a knowledge standpoint, he's our most veteran.
Mm-hmm.
So that has to add some type of benefit. Young guys can kind of get up to speed. But is Bo Collins our number one receiver? That's my point.
Yeah.
Did we get a number one receiver? Did we get a bunch of receivers that can complement a number one?
Yeah.
But until we have a number one receiver, what is Bo Collins transfer doing for the room? That a healthy Deion couldn't, a healthy JT couldn't, a healthy Jordan Faison. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got guys that are capable, but are we bringing in something that changes the room?
And see, look, you don't have to, dude. If you think we're missing the point, no, you're missing the point. Because it's fans like you that want to try and overhype Bo Collins, like this dude is about to come in and just be the end-all, be-all. Yeah, we said on a podcast 2 weeks ago that Notre Dame needs to go to the portal before Chancey Stuckey got fired. We said Notre Dame needs to go to the wide receiver portal. This was before he got fired and all the transfers left. So we don't miss the point. We're very honest about what's in that room and what's going on.
Yeah, and it's not that we don't need Bo Collins or we don't appreciate the transfer. It's the impact to
Stop
what this is
overhyping the
about.
impact. See, we're not. Look, we weren't gonna overhype Sam Hartman. We're gonna
No.
tell you the truth. So when the article came out that Notre Dame fans got upset with it, the Athletic, about Sam Hartman being a tier 3, tier 4 quarterback, Notre Dame fans was like, oh my God, how can you be a tier 4 quarterback throwing for 12,000 yards? Okay, when you watch the big games this year, what did you see? Like you said, Left, based upon his talent, he's a tier 3, tier 4 quarterback. That's exactly what he is.
Notre Dame's just a place where it would get exposed, man.
That's it. If you're not a dude, the big stage at Notre Dame is going to expose you.
Every time. And
Period.
it's not, I'm saying it early. So when it happens, I just be like, see, it's just how it's shaped. You got to be literally the guy. And if you're the guy, everything's gonna work out. It's gonna look good. But if you're not the guy, it's just the way we've been running it is too much on the quarterback in crucial situations. I mean, think about what we was putting Sam Hartman in the clutch. Fourth and 1, he's got the football. 4th and 16, he's got the football, and we're asking him to whatever it takes to get there. Game, season on the line. Riley Leonard ain't never been through nothing like that. This drive is for the season, and it's week 4. What quarterbacks are going through that in the country? This is week 4 of the season.
This tells you everything you need to know. If Notre Dame fans are honest on that last drive against Ohio State to end everything, did you want the ball in Sam Hartman's hands or did you want the ball in Audric Estime's hands? And that's the problem. That's the problem. You ain't got a quarterback, and in the biggest moment, you didn't even want the ball in his hands. You wanted it in the running back's hands. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Don't sit here and lie. Tell the truth. In the biggest moments, you didn't even want the ball in Sam Hartman's hands, but you went and got him out of the portal. No. Riley Leonard needs to have the ball in his hands. If he's that dude, in the biggest moments, put the ball in his hands. If we're still saying get the ball to Jeremiah Love, next year in the biggest moments, he ain't it. He ain't it. Period. Because we can start Steve Angeli and Kenny Minchie to Malik's point and have the ball in the running back's hands in the biggest moments. We can do that with those two dudes.
And have it out.
If you can't win with that schedule next year where Notre Dame is the more talented team
in every game,
and maybe one game is debatable. If you can't make the playoffs in that schedule with Steve Angeli and Kenny Minchie, then you got a coaching problem.
The coaches got to get fired.
Then you got a coach, like I said, we got a coaching problem. We need to have a bigger conversation.
That's it.
And once again,
can't hide in this schedule.
No, dude. If you can't establish the foundation of an elite program before anybody else outside the program comes in, dude, it's not going to work. I'm sorry.
And we are a big program because look at the success of guys and where they go after us. From an administration standpoint, how we move in recruitment, from the All-Americans we were able to produce, the things on a statistic level we're able to have, the games we're able to play.
See, this is let me, because I have to counter this. This estimate for sure, but we should have been throwing in a run the clock offense. Hey, dog, how did Washington close games against Oregon State and Washington State on 4th down? Did they give the ball to Dylan Johnson, or did Michael Penix throw the ball on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 to Rome Odunze? Miss me with that. You close games out with your best players. Caleb DeBoer put the ball in the hands of Michael Penix. Period.
Yeah, it was easy call.
Period. That's it. Michigan is gonna put the ball in the hands of their running backs because they quarterback.
They're not giving it. I can guarantee.
He's not it. So y'all
And if
miss
they
me
do,
with
they're
all
gonna
that.
lose. Yeah.
Ain't no such thing as a run the clock out situation. So you run the ball. No, you put the ball in the hands of your best player to close game. Period. That's what smart coaches do. Just miss me with that, man. I get tired of that crap, dude. We make too many excuses as a fan base, dude. I'm not about to excuse these coaches. Coach. Riley Leonard is not letting you off the hook, Jared Parker. Coach.
And he ain't solving the problems either.
No. He's not letting you know. Y'all not getting off the hook because y'all got some wide receivers in the portal and Riley Leonard. Nope. Coach and develop. And if nobody else is watching, I'm watching. Coach. I'm sorry, man. Y'all just got me heated with that, dude. I'm not doing that, dude. I'm not doing that. Make excuses. Oh, it's a run the clock out situation. That ain't got nothing to do with it. If they believe that Sam Hartman was a dude, they would have thrown the ball in that situation. You can believe that. Believe that. Believe that. It'd be 3rd down and 1, 4th down and 1. Andy Reid is not about to get a ball to a running back.
Absolutely not.
Pat's gonna have the ball
every time.
Joe Burrow is gonna have the ball 3rd and 1, 4th and 1.
Every time.
That's what smart coaches do. Sit up here talking about making an excuse, man. Notre Dame put the ball in the hands of the dude that they trusted the most, and that's the problem. You went and got a dude in the portal, paid him $1 million, and in the biggest game, the running back was the guy you trusted.
That's it.
That's a problem.
It makes sense.
That's an absolute problem. And
hell, we in the game, we won the game against Duke, handing it to our best player on a third in a situation where most teams wouldn't do that. Jared Parker knew Sam Hartman wasn't our go-to player.
It's crazy. Omar Austin, what wide receiver that ND realistically could have gotten this year that you guys won? It don't matter to me. It doesn't matter who they get. Stop overhyping who they get just because they come to Notre Dame. When somebody questions Bo Collins, when somebody gives a fair comment on Bo Collins, stop acting like they hating on Bo Collins. And stop just over loving the dude because he's going to have a Notre Dame uniform on. It's a fair assessment to say he has not lived up to expectations with his size and speed, similar to Tobias Merriweather. That's a fair comment, period. Just because he's putting on a gold helmet doesn't mean anything to me. He has underachieved at Clemson.
And we're fair. We give credit where credit due. We give credit to Jack Cohn because he did beyond expectation.
He's underachieved at Clemson. Riley Leonard has had 1 year of over 60% completion percentage. So when Malik says, dude, I don't know what you can do in the passing game, that's a fair assessment based upon what he's done. Does he have other intangibles? Has he carried a program like a Duke? Yes, but Duke is not Notre Dame. It's the same thing we said about Sam Hartman. Wake Forest is not Notre Dame. I have no clue. No one has a clue if this young man is ready for what he's about to step into. Is he more talented than Sam Hartman? Yes. Is his arm stronger than Sam Hartman? Yes. Does he have better legs than Sam Hartman? Yes. Has he shown the ability to galvanize others better than Sam Hartman? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't guarantee a darn thing. As Reggie Brooks and Oscar McBride said on our show Saturday, being the quarterback in Notre Dame is a totally different beast. It's a totally different beast. Period. It just is. And there's really nothing else that can lay out that point. Malik played the position. He wore the crown at Notre Dame. He can tell you what it's like. The only thing that stopped him was injury, which joke, dude. That's why when people come at you, someone in the chat earlier, Malik talks like he did all this and all that. No, I tell you what, he became a leader, galvanized the team, had men following him, and was a starter at Notre Dame, and unseated every ghost in doing so. So what we're not about to sit here and act like he didn't put in work to get to where he was. And because you don't agree with his point, now you want to be dismissive of his accomplishment of actually becoming a starting quarterback in Notre Dame and actually having a Notre Dame degree. Now his opinion isn't valid because he got injured and wasn't able to play. Man, miss me with that corny stuff, man. I do. That's the type of stuff that gets me angry, dude. I don't care, dude. We can disagree. You can have your opinion, but when you start trying to throw little corny jabs and stuff, man, miss me with that. Miss me with that. So don't tell us that we missing the point. No, we made the point last year where everybody was goo gaga over Sam Hartman.
Plus, I just think being in that position, even if I didn't get the total opportunity, I've seen why and how it does or doesn't work. I've been able to be around when it works and to see the things that it takes for it to work and the talent it takes for it to work and what it takes for it to work and how it works. Even if I wasn't able to get a chance to show it, I know what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talk about guys not having it, it shows. And even with the team, I think Notre Dame is a great equalizer because it's a balance. You don't get the sympathy of, oh, he's the best player, you got to do it all. No. You good just like we had the best defensive player in the country this year. So the spotlight is even. Now it's about talent. And can your talent overcome situation football, So guys that you think, oh yeah, it's an easy transition, is not, because expectations change everything. You can have a great season, but now when people know what you got going on, game plan against you, it just changes the format. So things that you rely on probably won't be there. How do you evolve your own game? And I know that communication and chemistry matter all the difference.
Right.
If you're going in there uncomfortable, you're not able to have your talent shine. And if Riley Leonard is going there asking Steve ANGELLI what to do, it's just not a recipe for success when it matters.
But once again, that goes back to coaching, Left.
Yeah. If we're not committed and all in on Riley,
if you're gonna commit to him, commit to him. But you know what that means? You got an off season of developing a whole new offense, which is more work. You just can't go into the off season and say, "Oh, you guys know the playbook." No, you got to put in some work as a coach. Coach, that's what you're getting paid to do. Coach, I have no problem with Riley Leonard being at Notre Dame, but let's stop acting like Riley Leonard is just this plug and play dude in any system. And all of a sudden, that's not who he is. And it's unfair to him. I told people before the season, all this stuff that's being placed upon Sam Hartman's shoulders is unfair to him.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it again. Do not place everything on the shoulders of Riley Leonard because it's unfair. Stop all that. Dude, if you play good, if Steve Angeli wins 11 games next year and plays well, he would be a Heisman candidate because
Yeah,
he's the quarterback of Notre
at
Dame.
Notre Dame.
It comes with the territory. It comes with the territory. Notre Dame would be fine with or without Riley Leonard with next year's schedule.
Facts.
Period. Especially if they go into the portal in the wide receiver room. But once again, if through their evaluation of their quarterbacks on the roster and Riley Leonard, if they came to a consensus on the staff that this guy gives us the best chance to win a championship,
Not be good.
fine. That's fine. But don't sit here and stop running from the fact that eventually you're going to have to coach a first-time starter. Nothing changes in next year. If Riley Leonard leaves and goes to the NFL draft in 24, guess what you're going to have to do as a coaching staff? You're going to have to coach up a first-time starter with inexperience, with no experience in 2025. The task doesn't change. Either you choose to do it in 24 or you choose to do it in 25. You can't run from it.
That's all we're doing is running from it.
That's going to happen. Either way.
If he's not winning a championship this year, I don't think you're developing. I just don't think you're developing. You're either all chips in, committed to a guy for 1 year, a system for 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
and you stop lying to us about development. Because it's been 2 years and we haven't seen development. You can't have both. And I think it damages the program from a dysfunction level if you're backed up on talent and trust, because it's a trust thing too.
Mm-hmm.
You got a guy committing as the guy that's trying to be a starter is going into a game. It's no secret. He know he's getting paid.
That's wild.
You know, I mean, it's so.
And look, Steve Angeli, he's starting the Sun Bowl. I'll say this and I'll let you ride as we get ready to close this out. Thank you for everybody that tuned in today. It's a great show. Thank you to Ken Gibbs. Thank you for everybody, your point of views in the chat. You all always have it lit. You have our respect no matter how you feel. There is no excuse for not having 2 or 3 series for Kenny Minchey in this Sun Bowl. No excuse.
No
None.
excuse.
None.
None. No matter what it is.
None. No excuse. As Malik said, not if you're a head coach that's looking at the big picture instead of viewing everything on a year-to-year basis. No excuse Kenny Minchey shouldn't have 2 to 3 series in this Sun Bowl. None. That's it, love. I do. What are we doing? It's the Sun Bowl against Oregon State with a new head coach, multiple players that have left via the portal and opted out.
Third string backup.
Third string backup quarterback. How are you not playing Kenny Minchey in this game? And I'm not talking about playing him when Notre Dame is blowing, if Notre Dame is blowing Oregon State out. No. I'm talking about middle of the second quarter. This is your theories, Kenny.
And you already got another guy committed.
Yes.
So what you trying to sell out on Steve for? Because clearly the dude you're bringing in is starting over both of them.
Absolutely.
So I don't,
Like, dude, we are very well aware of the restrictions in recruiting and the restrictions in the transfer portal. But what we're not about to do is overreact to who they get. Malik saw Chris Mitchell up close and personal, called his games this year, broke down his film and what he saw in person. It's up on the YouTube page. Go check it out. It's an honest assessment. He didn't go over the top and say, oh, this dude could be a one. Malik said, if you had a 1A already, he is the perfect 1B. And if you don't have that, he's still going to be a productive receiver. That's a fair assessment. That's a very solid and fair assessment on the talents of Chris Mitchell. That's fine. Let's not go over the top. I think the wide receiver room left, chime in if you agree. I think the wide receiver room is in much better shape than it was before the transfers and the change in coach.
it's definitely at a much more settled state.
Absolutely.
Settled.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to be fair across the board. You got to be fair across the board, man.
But
And
Gino
I
got
have,
to start earning that money, though. We know
well,
that.
this is the thing. If you think, Steven, I'll say this because you weren't left. I was there in the spring. I will call you after practices and tell you what I saw. In the spring, I called you after the second practice and said, who had the best arm in the quarterback room left?
Kenny Minchie.
This was after 2 practices with a dude that threw for 12,000 yards, Tyler Buckner, and everybody else. It was apparent that Kenny Minchie had the best arm in the program. Period. And it wasn't even close. So when we hear Kenny Minchie's killing it on the scout team, that doesn't shock us. Kenny Minchie probably has the best skill sets, passing skill sets in the Notre Dame quarterback room. But I also said Steve Angeli, his accuracy, his ball placement is questionable. So going to what you said about Gino Guidugli, all of a sudden I see Steve Angeli throwing the ball beautifully in the reps he gets when he comes in, and I'm saying, okay, Gino's been working with him because he looks a whole lot better than he did in the spring. And if Steve Angeli can make that improvement from the spring to what we saw in the fall, who is to say he couldn't improve from the bowl game until next fall? Because we've seen improvement. That's all we're saying. So yes, there is a spotlight on Gino Guidugli and Jared Parker, even with the Riley Leonard move. But heck, that was the case. And we've seen there is nobody that covered Steve Angeli in the spring that watched him play meaningful snaps in the regular season that won't sit there and tell you, yes, he's a better quarterback than I saw in the spring.
That's all that matters.
He's a better quarterback than he was in the spring. And the only way, yes, go ahead, Lef, I'm sorry.
And his confidence grew. And so now he's playing at an all-time high, and it's probably his own opinion. Comfortable enough to make checks in the game. And before he even gets to start, you telling him you got a guy running out on his field talking about, I'm committed.
Right.
I don't see the development.
Yeah.
You can't develop and win now at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Dude, it was a level of dysfunction last year that we tried to report on this podcast because it was manifesting itself on the field. And then when everything hit the fan with the firing of Chancey Stuckey and transfers and all of that stuff, it just really was the manifestation of what we had been saying and what we knew existed. Jared Parker being forced to run somebody else's offense that wasn't necessarily his. Jared Parker having to learn certain things. Jared Parker saying in press conferences, like, yo, I'm talking to Tyler Buckner, really learning the nuances of certain things to help me out as a play caller. All of this stuff that was going on. Tommy leaving. Tommy having the true vision for Sam Hartman, transitioning to this offense. Jared Parker not having that vision. Jared Parker saying I had to call Tommy and talk to Tommy about the offense. All of this dysfunction. And it led to what you saw offensively. Now, no excuses. Jared Parker, this is your quarterback. This is the quarterback you want. And whatever comes forth as far as a system, that's you. The development of Kenny Minchie and CJ Carr, that's you. The focus is on this coaching staff, man. Notre Dame does not have a talent issue, especially with the addition of these transfer wide receivers. Notre Dame doesn't have a talent issue. Notre Dame will out talent with their roster just about every team they're facing next year. Every team. I feel, man, unless something changes, right now, Florida State is going into next year with Tate Rodemaker, unless something changes. I'll take Riley Leonard over Tate Rodemaker. That Texas Tech quarterback that went to Louisville, I'll take Riley Leonard over him. And those are supposedly our two biggest games next year. I have no clue who Lincoln Riley's going to have at quarterback. It might be Malachi Nelson. He might go get Cam Ward via the transfer portal. Cam Ward might be the only quarterback that I would sit and think about in a matchup against Riley Leonard next year. Might be the only quarterback I take a seat back and say, the other team might have a better quarterback. Other than that, but honestly, if Kenny Minchie and Steve Angeli were the quarterbacks, how many other quarterbacks would you take over them? Maybe one, two more? Like, let's be honest. Dude, we're Notre Dame. You can't say we're Notre Dame and then be scared to develop quarterbacks and play inexperienced quarterbacks. You can't. Eventually, it's going to happen. Either it's going to happen in 24 or it's going to happen in 25. You cannot run from it. Now, I'll be fair, Left. Maybe Marcus Freeman is thinking, I would much rather play my inexperienced quarterback with a more experienced defense in 25 because he is going to have a lot of youngsters playing in 24 defensively. So maybe he's saying, I don't want an inexperienced defense and inexperience on the offensive side of the ball. One of the sides of the ball has to have experience. If he's looking at that, that's debatable. That's understandable. I can rock with that. Yeah, I can rock with that. And maybe he's saying, yo, I want to protect my young quarterbacks And when they play, I want them to have a more experienced team. I want the young wide receivers to be more experienced to help them out. I want the offensive line to be more experienced to help them out. And I want my youngsters on defense to be more experienced. If I was sitting here and that's what Marcus Freeman laid out to me, Notre Dame fans, I would be like, you know what, coach, that's a valid point. That's a valid point. I can rock with that. I can rock with that.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. One side of the ball has to be experienced in some way, but this is a young man's sport. We've seen freshmen impact this sport. We have the foundational basis of our team pretty strong. We're known for that, and it's just a confidence level Marcus Freeman and Jared Parker have in their guys.
Hmm.
And as hard as it is with the restrictions that we're faced with in recruiting transfer portal, we also are able to get the top guys that are in the portal that we need. So you're right about coaching. Um, it has to change in some aspect where, like you said, either we gotta at some point have that conversation. We keep
I go back.
running in circles, not wanting to start a day one guy. But if you have any chance of wanting to be there, Marcus Freeman, you have to have that as a focus.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that it's just certain things in big time programs that you do that never change, man. And one of those things is elite coaching. That never changes. The one thing Georgia lost all of those talented players to the NFL left. You know what didn't change?
What?
The level of coaching at Georgia.
No.
Georgia's
Oh,
gonna
set
coach.
the high
They gonna
level.
Kirby's gonna coach his tail off,
That's right.
regardless of who the players are. I don't care if it's 5-star, 4-star, 3 stars. The job of the coaching staff to coach their tails off, regardless of who they have. That's why I have a lot of respect. See, everybody's talking about Tommy DeVito. You know who's looking good to me in this whole situation? Josh Allen doesn't look the same. Danny Dimes got 40 million. And Tommy DeVito has won 3 straight games. That cat Brian Dable looks like a hell of a coach. Brian Dable is coaching his tail off, left.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's coaching his tail off. He's doing what he's paid to do. That's his job. He didn't bury his head in the sand because Daniel Jones got injured for the rest of the year. He took Tommy DeVito, who played for my Illini, and I didn't like him when he was at Illinois because he was a turnover machine. But Brian Dable is coaching his tail off, man. That's what you get paid to do. I don't care if
That's
it's
right.
Riley. I don't care if it's Riley Leonard. I don't care if it's Sam Hartman. I don't care if it's Steve Angeli. I don't care if it's Kenny Minchie. I don't care if it's CJ Carr. You get paid to coach your tail off, Gino Gaduli. You get paid to coach your tail off, Jared Parker. Period. Period. That's it. End of story. You know, all of a sudden, step up your coaching because of the situation. No, you coach your tail off every day. Period. No matter who's in the room. So we should see in the Sun Bowl, we should see Gino Gaduli and Jared Parker coaching their tails off. We should see Joe Rudolph with both of his tackles opting out, coaching his tail off. Mike Brown just got there. But we're watching the 6 wide receivers going into this game, and we should see Mike Brown coaching his tail off. Forget the fact they're going into the game underhand or short on talent because of all of those other factors I mentioned. Coach, man. Coach. That's your job. Coach. Coach. The one thing I truly believe is I talk about them from a recruiting standpoint. no matter who they have, no matter if Xavier Watts comes back next year or anybody else, Al Golden, Mike Mickens, and the rest of that staff, they're going to coach their tails off. Audric Estime won't be there in the Sun Bowl, but I bet you those running backs run hard. And I bet you see evidence that cat Dylan McCullough is coaching his tail off. That's it. That's it. We can talk about all of this talent, not having Alabama's talent, not having Georgia's talent. You know what you can do? You can coach your tail off.
Coach your tail off.
Coach your tail off.
Because all these coaches that are assistants and stuff are going to be great head coaches at other places and winning as coaches at other programs. So clearly you're getting guys that can coach. You just got to do it at that level.
And that's it. We will tell you when it's on the plate, when Sam Hartman deserved blame, we told you, hey, it's open wide receivers. Don't believe all of this narratives of nobody can get open, da. There are open wide receivers. We watch the all 22. We have the steal shots. I send them to the left every week. Oh my God, look at this dude open. Look at that dude open. And y'all just want to fall for the low-hanging fruit? Man, they have slow guys in the wide receiver room. Okay. All right. I remember sending that cat MALIK 4 to 5 steal shots from the Ohio State game, and MALIK was like, oh my God, these dudes are wide open. Yeah, but if you believe the narratives, Notre Dame doesn't have receivers that can get all bump and run coverage. Nobody's wide open. He deserves blame. Jared Parker deserves blame. Gino Guidugli deserves blame. But you know what else? Jared Parker put up all his point. Dude, his offense in totality was historic in recent Notre Dame history. Gino Guidugli got Steve Angeli to become a better quarterback than he was in the spring. So when you criticize them, you have to be open to giving them the credit for things that did go right. Period. And for everybody, going back to the point, who did you want the ball to be given to, or whose hands did you want the ball in the clutchest moments for Notre Dame? Notre Dame tried to put the ball in Sam Hartman's hands in the second half against Clemson, because they definitely didn't put it in Audric Estime's hands. And what happened? Because he's not that type of quarterback. He's not. In ND9, what do? You go by what people tell you. Either you respect the dude that played the position and has the all 22 and what he's telling you, or you don't.
That's right.
So that what you don't have, you have a dude that's played the position at the same school that was telling you there are wide receivers open week to week. You chose not to believe them. You chose to believe the other narrative. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm blessed. I think it's maybe one other show with Goolsby. But I'm blessed to have a co-host that's been there, done that at Notre Dame. So at certain parts of certain shows that I will put forth a question and sit back and let him go for 20 minutes. Why? Because he's done it. He can explain it. There's no need for me to say anything. And if you can't respect that, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you. All we do is try to give you the best information we can. That's it. And we try to be honest and objective. It's one thing I can say about myself, Left. There is nobody on this Notre Dame staff that I have not touched up this year. No one. I've gotten at everybody on the staff. I got on Dylan McCullough about the running back struggling to pick up blitzes
Yeah, that pass protection was awful.
after 7 to 8 games. When you deserve to get it, we're going to be fair and oblige. But on the flip side, when you deserve to be celebrated, we're going to celebrate you as well. That's just the way it is. So, in all fairness, it's very easy to say or to take the low-hanging fruit. It's very easy. When you have people that come and push against that, not with just opinion, but with like, yo, we looked at this, we saw this. You just can't take that and run with it. You know, there are other factors. We never came here and said, you know, Sam Hartman walked into the most optimal situation. We never said that.
Walked into a good one though.
He walked into a good one. We said Tommy Reese leaving, man, kind of hindered him.
Yeah.
We said Riley Leonard steps into a more advantageous situation than Sam Hartman did in multiple ways. We're very aware of things that Sam Hartman had to deal with. But we're very honest about what Sam Hartman didn't do as well. And that's, you know, and that's just being honest, man. That's an honest assessment of everything this season. And week after week, when we were trying to tell you guys, like, man, guys, there's dysfunction within this program and it's playing out on the offensive side of the ball, we weren't just blowing smoke. Like, we were trying to get you guys to really understand, like, yo, it is bigger than just, you know, 40 times. It's, yo, there's something bigger going on. There's something bigger going on, man. Right? Like, I wasn't just blowing smoke when I said, yo, Chancey Stuckey's on the hot seat before the season started. And I was like, the wide receiver room bears watching. Dude, we try to keep it all the way funky with you guys because that's what you deserve. That's what you deserve. And it might not have been, look, the first hour of the show with Kenton and Malik was fantastic, dude. We literally took you into a barbershop. We took you into a barbershop Saturday morning with Reggie Brooks and Oscar McBride. We're going to take you right back into the barbershop this weekend with Derek Curry and Shane Walton. That's the plan. Derek Curry said he has to make sure that his daughter's volleyball game doesn't interfere, but he's looking forward to coming on. This is the content we want to bring to Notre Dame fans because you deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve to hear both sides of a discussion if two sides exist. And if it's a little spicy and a little barbershopish, as someone said in the chat, screaming over each other doesn't mean you're spending it different. Man, go to a barbershop in the hood. It's the best debates, whether it's sports, politics, life, relationships. It's one of the best atmospheres ever. And that's what we try to create here on the Lucky Lefty podcast, a fantastic atmosphere for us as hosts and you guys as fans in the chat. And that's it, man.
That's it.
Anything to close out left? Are you encouraged though offensively by the additions,
Yeah,
especially with Bo Collins?
we're gonna win our games we're supposed to win. It's just a matter of getting into the playoffs. And is the expectation to win it all, or is the expectation to just be good? So if it's just to be good and get into the playoffs, I think we can do it without some of these moves. But I just want the future to be thought of when doing these moves as well, and how it can impact later on.
Hey, like I said, man, we don't make excuses. We just don't for anybody. Nobody gets excuses. Marcus Freeman had to deal with a quarterback that didn't play to the level that he expected and turned the ball over. That's not what he paid for. But as the head coach, he had to deal with it. That's life, man. It's not perfect. Everybody has something that's not favorable that they have to deal with. I think it was Nelson Mandela that said, I never lose. I only win or learn.
That's right.
I kind of subscribe to that. And I think Marcus Freeman is in the process of learning what needs to be done at Notre Dame. Now, I will say this, Left. I applaud how aggressive he's being to solve the
Yeah.
issue.
But we also said don't take too big of a risk and put yourself in a position where paint yourself in a corner, man. You all or nothing 3 years in a row just doesn't seem good as a lasting technique to be there for the years I'm assuming you would want to be there for.
You know what time it is, Left.
Petticoat, petticoat, petticoat junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty history? Petty Junction.
Petty Junction, Petty Story today brought to you by Nora Whiskey and NoraWhiskey.com, that premium American whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com. Let me be petty for a second, Left. I might punch my own ticket. Are you going to give Kanye's new project a listen?
Of course, it's Kanye.
You know why I'm a little bullish on the project, Left? And I've seen like the clips that have been dropping all weekend, previewing some of the joints with Ty Dolla. I've realized that GLC is involved with the project. No ID is involved with the project. Bump J, legendary Chicago rapper, is involved with the project. Seems like he's going back to his roots, Left.
Yeah. Back to Chicago.
I'm encouraged by that, Left. From a musical standpoint, not from a personal life standpoint, just a flat musical standpoint. I'm a little encouraged by that.
That's right. You should be.
Everybody that's trying to hold everything else against him, like last night, I forget, Double XL took a picture. It was like he wore a KKK hood. Like, what are you talking about? Like, man, the kind of narratives that people would try to create for clicks is absolutely crazy, Left.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. And last but not least, man, I gotta throw your boy 26 on the petty train, man. You cannot be running the clock out, break free, and fall on your own and fumble the ball, bro. Saquon, come on, man.
Happens to the best of us.
Oh, Saquon, man. I love you, bro, but that was, yeah. If you were in the NBA, that would definitely be Shaq in the fool.
Mm.
That would definitely be Shaq in the fool. Anybody for you?
Nah, man, I think you hit it on the head. The Saquon thing was pretty wild, though, for sure.
I felt bad for him too. Because it's like that was ball game, and now all of a sudden Jordan Love takes the Packers down and they score. But your boy Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlass, gets the job done. Hey man, we appreciate you guys, man. We gave you this might be one of the longest shows we've ever done, Left.
That's right. That's
Hey
right.
man, salute to you and Ken Gibbs, man. The first hour was pure gold because of you guys.
Yeah, we gotta just take the wool off of the eyes. That's all.
Man, it was pure gold. So don't forget, subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Don't forget, YouTube. Subscribe, share, hit the like button, notification bell. So every time we go live, you'll know. And stay locked in. It's the Lucky Lefty podcast. You already know. We spin it different, man. Have a great Tuesday. But most of all, make sure that you spin it different.
Yeah.